All here.
Good evening. Oops. I need my mic on. There we go. Good evening and welcome to the Leon Valley City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, October 16th, 2018, and we do have a quorum. All city council members are present, and we're so glad so many of you could join us. I would like to introduce, and it's approximately 6 o'clock, I'd like to introduce Troop 911. We have 6 young future leaders and one other Boy Scout from Pack 670 that I'd like to introduce and bring them to the front, and they're going to lead us in the pledge this evening. So Sean Torres, Sean, come on down. Aiden Rohde, Aiden, okay. Alejandro Mendoza, come straight up here, honey. There we go. Caden Douglas, Kyle Groover, Raymond Wilkin, and these are the gentlemen from Troop 911. And then I'd like to introduce Jacob Sawyer. He's from Troop 670, and he actually lives in Leon Valley. The rest of the boys live outside of Leon Valley, but that doesn't matter. We still claim them, right? Okay. Now, these young future leaders are in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I have been meeting with them for the last 45 minutes, and they've been grilling me on the mayor duties and lots of different questions. These were harder questions. They were like, what's the first element on the periodic table? Okay. Whoa, I couldn't remember that one. But anyway, they were just wonderful, and I do appreciate them. And they're working on their badges, communication, and I believe the citizenship. So I thank you all very much, young future leaders, for grilling me and making me a better mayor. So with that said, I'll turn over the Pledge of Allegiance to Troop 911 and Troop 670.
I think there's one more coming in.
Do we have another one? No. Okay. Very good.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. And good luck in school, and hope to see you again. And thank you again for all your hard work that you give for the Boy Scouts. All right. Just a few things, a few housekeeping. If you could please silence your cell phone, that would be wonderful. And also, as we go through the agenda item, we have a local rule that if anyone would like to speak at an agenda item, just raise your hand. After we have a presentation and discussion by council, if you wanted to add anything as a citizen or a visitor, just raise your hand and you have 3 minutes to contribute to that agenda item. I want to welcome not only y'all, but we're on live stream. So we have people from the comfort of their own home. They didn't want to get out in the cold, so they want to follow the city on the live stream. So we welcome you as well. Also, if you're wondering why we're all wearing pink this evening, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we're wearing pink tonight in memory of those who have lost a life to breast cancer, and a tribute to those who have survived. And so we'd like to just encourage you during this month to visit your healthcare professional and make sure you get that annual mammogram. So with that said, then we will move to agenda item number 2. Presentation of the American Heart Association Lifesaver Award to Leon Valley Police Department Officer Jose Espinosa. We have Chief Joe Salvaggio and Caitlin Cox of the American Heart Association here to present this award. Thank you.
So actually, we're going to. I think I'm loud enough without this.
You have to use it.
All right, I'm going to be too loud. I'm all the way down here. So we're going to do 2 different things today. the American Heart Association is going to give a life-saving award for one of the officers, but in going through and discussing this with some of the older officers, we found that there was a oversight in the past where somebody didn't get theirs. So she didn't know about that, so she's not prejudiced against the other officer. She just didn't know about it, and we didn't know about it until the very last minute. Otherwise, I'm sure she'd have brought in her certificate as well. So we're going to do yours first, and then we'll do mine for him, and then the other officer as well, okay?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. I wanted to read the email that we received. I think one of the most important things from is where we got this recognition from. It shows the unity of this community and the unity of the uniforms in this community. So we actually received this email from the Leon Valley Fire Department. So on June 10th, the Leon Valley Fire Department received a 911 call to the Vista del Rey apartments in reference to someone choking. While en route, our dispatch notified the responding crews that she could hear family members yelling and screaming. Leon Valley Police Officer Jose Espinosa arrived prior to EMS and started performing the Heimlich maneuver, which dislodged a piece of food that was obstructing her airway. When EMS arrived, the patient was shaken but breathing. She stated that she thought she was going to die. The American Heart Association recognizes those who act and render aid, and part of the challenge is that we see here in our community especially that survival rates can be increased by officers and bystanders performing first aid while waiting for EMS to arrive. So the minutes that went by were critical, and obviously by the time EMS did arrive, that person's life was saved, and that is incredibly important for us to recognize. So we wanted to, let me put this down, recognize Officer Espinosa with our Heart Saver Hero Award, which is granted by the American Heart Association. We submit these stories, and then they're reviewed by a committee and determined who receives this award, and then we use those stories to inspire others across the country. So we're really honored to present this award to you, and thank you so much for saving a life and allowing us to share this story to inspire others.
Congratulations. He's my neighborhood.
You're in good hands.
So something most of y'all don't know, who's his family here? Be very proud, very proud. Officer Espinosa's been with us for less than a year. You know, when you become a police officer, one of the questions we always ask is, why do you want to be a police officer? And inevitably, people say, I want to make a difference. That's in some form or fashion, it's something about making a difference. And one of those most special ways you can make a difference is to save someone else's life. Happens more often than you might realize, and the recognition doesn't happen nearly as often as it should. Sometimes us as chiefs and stuff don't even get the word. These guys don't go bragging about it. I never heard about this from my officers at all, or supervisors. The first notice I got on it was the fire chief notifying me in the email that he courtesy copied me on to the American Heart Association. So he's got a quick jump on a lot of people. My first award for life-saving was, I was already a lieutenant. So that's, and not that it didn't happen long before then. It was just the first time they recognized it. So it's one of those things that, for me, was very special for me. It's still on my wall in my office. But it's also one of those things that is going to be something he'll never forget. I know that the lady will never forget that. She's not here today, is she? We were working on getting her here. So I'll just say congratulations, first and foremost. We'll give you our life-saving award as well. This is the life-saving medal, so everybody can see it. It's very pretty. It's got the state of Texas seal in the middle. So can I hand this to you, ma'am?
Sure may. Thank you.
I'm not reading that. The captain is.
Oh, Captain's going to read it. Okay.
Mayor, if I may, I have the citation.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Life-saving medal is bestowed upon Officer Jose Espinosa. The life-saving medal is awarded in appreciation for the prompt and unselfish act of rendering aid and assistance to another human being that directly resulted in saving a life. On June 10, 2018, the Leon Valley Fire and Police Departments responded to a 911 call to the Vista Del Rey apartments for someone who was choking. The dispatcher notified responding fire and police units that she could hear family members yelling and screaming. Officer Espinosa arrived prior to EMS and was advised by frantic family members that the victim had been eating when a piece of food became lodged in her throat and she was unable to breathe. Without hesitation, Officer Espinosa began performing the Heimlich maneuver on her, which eventually dislodged the food, cleared her airway, and ultimately saved her life. Based on Officer Espinosa's heroic acts on this day, it is our honor to bestow the life-saving award upon him. Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations.
No.
No? I always want people to say something, but he said no, so I'll respect that. Okay.
He said, no, ma'am.
Oh, no, ma'am.
That's what he said. Chad, come on up here, please. So this is another example of the chain of command not knowing some of the heroics that occurs. This is actually 4 years past due. The chief had no idea this went on. In fact, the dang fire chief is the one who told me about this one too. So as we were talking about Espinosa, he said, there was another time, and he went through the scenario, and it was a huge issue back then. We had it was an apartment fire, and there was a lot of craziness that went on, and a lot of people did a lot of things, and the higher-ups had no way of knowing what occurred, because these guys don't run back and say, hey, I saved a life, where's my medal? It's just something that we do, and we drive on. Don't say a word. I got in trouble from my wife when I came home that night. I didn't tell her anything and went to bed, and she saw it on the news the next day, and she called me mad at me. And I was like, I didn't think anybody saw it, so no big deal. But that's one of those things with Chad. He helped out in a fire, and we'll read the citation in a minute. And again, it's nothing to do with the past administration or anybody else. This is normal, and normally we don't get notified as police officers, and we don't think about it. And so, believe it or not, my award was from the fire department sending it in as well. So I fully understand that. So can you please read that, sir?
Life-saving medal is bestowed upon Corporal Chad Mandry. The life-saving medal is awarded in appreciation for the prompt and unselfish act of rendering aid and assistance to another human being that directly resulted in saving a life. In the early morning of July 5th, 2014, the Leon Valley Fire Department was dispatched to a structure fire at the Forest Oaks Apartments complex on Evers Road. Upon arrival, Leon Valley firefighters came upon 2 apartment buildings engulfed in flames. The fire extended out of upper apartments, across the stairwell that connected the building units together, and across both roofs. Firefighters were faced with a dramatic and chaotic scene that included people jumping out of windows from a second-story apartment, as well as 16 people unaccounted for. Corporal Mandry arrived on scene and immediately started to evacuate the buildings. In an apartment directly below the seat of the fire, Corporal Mandry forced open a door and found a confused and frightened senior citizen. He quickly picked her up over his shoulder and carried her out of the apartment to safety. Corporal Mandry continued to work the scene by keeping residents together and assisted in accounting for everyone affected by the fire. Based on Corporal Mandry's heroic acts on this day, we are honored to bestow this life-saving award upon him. Congratulations, sir.
If you guys, Chad's family wants to come over and take a picture real quick with them, and then we'll do the same with yours.
My fiance Mia, my oldest son Michael, Camden, and Nathaniel, and my mom Carla.
Here you go, man.
Nice to meet you.
One of the kids hold.
Yes.
Come up here, please.
Come on up, yes. Would you like to say a few things. I know you're a man of.
Thank you. It's just anything I know our officer, our department would do, if they come across the same thing. So I appreciate the acknowledgement. Thank you.
Very proud. Thank you. Appreciate it. Congratulations. You bet. And the Espinosa family, if you'd like to come on up. Thank you. Look at these precious angels. Oh, hi, darling. Ready for Thanksgiving? Halloween, huh? Yeah. You want to turn around? There you go. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know you're so proud of your son.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
We are.
Congratulations. You have to say cheese, right? Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, ma'am. So everybody, there'll be cake afterwards. You want to leave out now? Now's a good time to escape. But otherwise, when they're done, there'll still be cake out there for everybody.
Let's give Officer Espinosa and Corporal, I was trying to think of his rank, and I wanted to be respectful, Corporal Mandry, another round of applause for their heroic efforts for our citizens of Leon Valley. Thank y'all. So proud of you. Okay. Moving then to agenda item number 3, we have our monthly financial report, and we have Ashley Wayman here, our Assistant Finance Director,
Hi, good evening.
here to present. Good evening and welcome.
This me? Okay. All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I'll be going over the financial report through September 30th. I do want everyone to keep in mind that these numbers are not final. They're unaudited, and we are still getting in and receiving and taking other payments for back to September. So not quite a full picture of the fiscal year yet. Okay. Starting with our general fund, sales taxes are up again this month, 5.53%. In reference to a question from last meeting, I looked at some other cities around us in the area to see kind of where we stood compared to them. The average for other cities around us was about 2% increase, so we're actually doing pretty great compared to some of our surrounding cities.
And what did you say our year-end? No, we've still got 2 more months.
We do have 2 more months.
Right, so what is it through September? We're up?
5.53%.
5.53, okay, thank
Yes.
you. 5.53%, thank you.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'd say so.
Where is that, the 5% reflected on this?
So ours is based on other years. So based on last year at this time, that's where we are. I do have a list of all the cities I used. I couldn't quite do a full year because we don't have a full year yet. So I ran from December 2016 to September 2017 and compared that to this year, December 2017 through this month, September 2018, to compare to other cities. So I have the printout of the cities if y'all want to look at it.
Well, my question really wasn't about cities around here. It was statewide. What's the level of sales tax collection for the entire state?
Okay.
If that's feasible to get. I don't know if it's possible.
Right. It all comes in samples. So I just pulled down each city and went ahead and did that. So I can grab another sample of kind of some other areas if that works. And I'll get that to you.
Could you scan and email that to us, please?
I
Thank
will,
you.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so our franchise taxes are a little bit down, it appears, but we are still waiting. We do an accrual for CPS at the end of the year, so that will jump up when we receive that, as well as cable cutting, things we've been talking about the rest of the year.
And the 285.8%, that license, that's the red light cameras, is that right?
Correct. So as we talked about last meeting, I kind of tried to fit it in here, but I didn't want the stuff to get too small. So I do have the info about it, though.
Okay.
Of this 2.9 million, almost 1.7 million is red light camera. So that makes up for about 56% of those license permits, fees and fines. Without the red light camera, we would still be at 124% of budget, so we'd still be over budget.
And the impound lot is in there too?
Right.
Correct.
Yes, it is a
And
smaller
so-
amount.
Okay. All right.
And we do break that out later. I didn't grab the percentages on those, but I can get those as well if you'd like to
Okay.
see it. It's a much smaller percent
Sure.
of this.
Sure. But when you take the red light camera and the impound, those are two new programs just implemented this last year.
Correct.
That's what reflects that
Yes, ma'am.
huge percentage.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the miscellaneous is what? Is that the CDBG grants? And
So that is most of our Evers Road bridge reimbursement. We have a little bit more outstanding that we've billed that's still coming in, and we billed over 500,000 that's still coming in. So that'll all be coming soon, as well as we were reimbursed for a gas main relocation by CPS during the process. So kind of jumped up pretty quick there.
Great. All right. Thank you.
As far as expenditures, everything looks on track in the general fund.
So nothing was over budgeted, is that what we see there? Back on
Right.
the other one? We
Correct.
stayed within budget?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Again, this is not final, all unaudited numbers, but yes, we do have I think there were 2 more accounts payable runs after this, so a few things have changed, but nothing too dramatic.
Okay.
All right. Moving on to our water and sewer. Water sales appear to be down, but they're not. We still have a half a month or a half a billing cycle left that will be going back to September. So that is not final. Will change. Hopefully be up to where we'd like to see it, like last year's. Again, all these numbers are unaudited, so still waiting on all the final numbers, but
Okay. And the miscellaneous for the water and sewer fund at 473.5% reflects what?
the CDBG grants. Those are the
CDBG
Timber
grants.
Hill and the Conestoga
Okay.
projects.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. Moving on to our community center fund. Your hotel motel taxes haven't changed again. Those are quarterly, and they have till the end of October to pay the last quarter. So hopefully we'll be getting those in soon, and we'll be able to see that jump up to where we want to see it. As far as everything else in the community center fund, kind of the same story we've been seeing most of the year. All
Okay.
right.
Yeah, I know we were going to have an outreach for the community and conference center with regard to weddings, and is that happened, or is that on the books to happen?
I believe most of that's planned for the next fiscal year, is when most of that's planned for. Well, right
fiscal
now,
year,
I guess, yeah.
yeah,
Fiscal year
okay,
19, yeah.
But not until like the spring?
I believe that's when most of the events are. I'm not completely sure. Monty Bell
Right.
would probably have more info on that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so our economic and community development, again, this is in the general fund, but we just broke it out here so you could see it in more detail. Sales tax revenue, same thing as the general fund. It's 2 months behind, also up. Nothing in here looks really of note. The only thing we've added to our ED project funding this month was the UTSA breakfast meeting is figured into that as well. But everything in the economic and community development looks on track.
Okay, thank you.
And moving on to our red light cameras, I think Vicki has a little bit of information about the most current red light camera payment.
Okay, drum roll, okay. Okay, what?
Okay, this is what
Is this the report?
this is what you've been asking for.
I've been asking for
And it's
it.
not in the PowerPoint because I'm
Okay.
just finished it today. So
Thank
that's why it's
you.
not in the PowerPoint.
Okay.
But basically, unless something, the revenues are done. So basically, for fines, the portion that we have to pay to the state, we collected $1,608,975. That equates to about 21,453 tickets. Our tier one, which is the administrative cost for the red light camera program, expenditures were $693,742.48, which left us a balance of revenue over expenditures of 915,232.52. That's the amount that we split with the state.
Right.
So the state's going to get 457,616.26. So then what's left for us again is the 457. And so for our tier 2, which is our traffic safety program, our expenditures were 332,022.38. So we are going to basically book a reserve for the red light cameras, traffic safety program, 211,775.
For the upcoming, for
Figure 18, right.
yes, but going into 19, I mean, this is what we have as a reserve that we haven't spent.
Correct.
Okay. Very good. I mean,
go.
gosh, thank you. I'm glad to get those numbers. Now, are we going to have don't we have a report about, I know it's down 30%, the red light camera running. We did
That
get
would
that.
be Joe,
That's
yeah,
Joe.
yeah,
So,
that would be
okay, I'll ask him.
I
Okay.
look at the
You just look at the
account
funny, but I know we're supposed to compare, 18 months before and 6 months after to see what the,
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
and
so
there's a
that's-
special report that he has to do, because let me tell you, just for me to get the report, the annual report, I had to go through 5 different people, and finally somebody called back and sent me what the report is so that I can pay the state.
Okay.
But looking at it, I went to TxDOT and all those places, and there's a report that he actually has to do that shows
okay.
probably a lot of
So
that
we should be
information
getting that
you want.
shortly. Okay, thank you. Yes, Councilman Martinez.
I have one question in regards to this PowerPoint here. It shows we have 1,695,447, and 643,943 is the tier 1 expenses. But it's my understanding that if you subtract the tier 1 from the 16 amount, that's what the tier 2 should be.
Okay, this report, again, we have to get it in minute track sooner. This is the final numbers as of today. So those numbers, that's why I don't really like to do them in September. They're not really accurate. We've had 2 APs since then, and we've booked receivables since then.
Okay, but still, shouldn't the totals jive right now?
No, sir, because that report was done before we did the APs. and-
Okay, but at this point, forget it moving forward. When this was done, shouldn't these numbers jive?
With what respect, sir?
If you add 643,943 and 261,318, shouldn't that equal the 1695,447?
No, should it equal, no. The 1695,447 is the revenue. The other one is the tier 1 expenditure and the tier 2 expenditures.
Right? So
So
if
it's
you
the
get
difference-
if you get the, okay, if you get the 1695,
Okay.
447, subtract the 643,943 amount, that's what's left in the pie. And out of that, we have to split that 50-50 with the
That is
state.
correct.
Okay, so, but this number doesn't jive with,
Because I'm not
You're
reporting
not
out on the
reporting.
late fees because that's not what goes to the state. We keep that automatically. The only thing that I'm reporting on is the red light camera fines.
1609.
That's the only thing that we look at, and we only look at tier 1 for what we report to the state, half of what goes to the state. So what you see of that 86,185, the state does that. We don't have to put that into the equation of what we have to pay the state. That's what we get to keep straight up. That's late fees, NSF check fees, court costs. That's all of our money.
It also doesn't show the 50% to the state.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It doesn't show the
So
state's.
this is just
state's-
straight showing you actually
Yeah.
what the revenue for the cameras, which is not up to the minute, and also shows you the tier 1 and the tier 2 expenditures. And we're not even looking at tier 2 when I go in and give you this, the report for the difference.
okay.
Okay, so next month, could you give us will it be complete then, where you could show us?
Complete.
But I mean, so we could show our residents,
We're
that's
going
all.
to do in October, which the
This is
report that we do in
October.
October would be for,
Oh, you're so kind.
I'm sorry, what we do in for November would actually be for October and wouldn't be the final, but we can put together a final PowerPoint that shows this information.
Okay,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
show how much we paid to the state, because that
Yeah.
is not here, and I think that's confusing, I agree with you.
And
you
that's
know.
where, and that's why I don't like to do, because they're not, this is final. Are pretty much final unless we find something when we audit it, but
Okay.
it's pretty good.
Yeah, just so we can be complete
But we
as
can
to
do the
where all
regular
the money's
report,
going
we'll
to,
do
and then
a
it balances
final for
out.
September that reflects this stuff.
Okay,
Mhm.
very good. Okay, right, so we'd have that for the next meeting in November. Okay,
We'd give you
excellent.
your October report, and then we'd give you a September report like this for red light camera, and we make it pretty.
Oh, make it pretty, okay. All right.
Now.
All right, that sounds, yes,
Ms. Vicki,
Counselor Rodriguez.
I missed what you had said. One of the figures was 457.
What we, yes.
616.
I just didn't get to write that one down.
All of the hard work that everybody does, the state's gonna get 457, 1626.
1626. Okay, thank you.
That's what the state gets. And we
Thank-
get to keep
thank
the
you.
other half, and then the other half is what we use, plus the late fees to fund the traffic safety program, tier 2.
Thank you.
You know what I also like on that report next time is that 332,022.38, which is our share, right? Because we're going to,
Our share is, well, for the
Then you
fines
said we
only, yeah, for the
banked-
fines only, it's 457, 616.26.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have another 86, 182. So our share technically is 543, 798.26. Because that.
oh,
the
that's
late
a new
fees
number
does
that
not
you
go
didn't
to the
give me.
state.
It's that plus this.
Yeah. So it's the 457
Okay,
plus the late fees we get to keep.
okay. I guess what I'd like to know is whatever our bottom line figure is, 400,000, 332, whatever, that we got to keep, would you itemize what we spent that on?
Yeah.
So I know it's three police officers. Yeah, 3 police officers. What else? The camera at Wurzbach. What did we spend that money on? That's what I'd like to be able to share with our citizens, because it's all
To be
safety.
quite honest, the majority of the tier 1 was
No.
spent on, no, I know, was spent on,
Yeah, personnel. I understood that.
on
And I'm
two.
saying tier 2. No, I understand. Tier 1's all administrative. It's the red light cameras. I understand that. It's tier 2 that's our money that we get to spend on safety. I want to be able to report to our citizens, this is how we spent the red light camera money to protect you. I mean, one of the questions the Boy Scouts said is, something about crime. They wanted to know about crime and how do we deal with crime. When I answered it, well, we just were able to hire 3 new police officers with red light camera money to put more police officers in the community because that's what our citizens were asking for. So I'd like to be able to report that out.
yeah, what I'll do is I'll break down, I'll do this, what you just got, and then I'll
Okay.
break down how much went to salaries and how many people were funding.
Great, great.
And then how much we spent in tier 2.
Mm-hmm. Tier 2, yeah. Tier 1
for-
is all
Yeah, and
administration.
the majority of it is personnel costs. And the
And
other thing
vehicles,
that we
great,
did,
great.
if you guys remember, Joe came back for a budget adjustment for $150,000 to fund the traffic signal at Wurzbach and Exchange. It didn't get finished. I
So
can't-
it's
yeah,
tonight.
It's part of
Yeah.
that. And some signage that Melinda had ordered for the blinking signs. We also paid for some of those, but we didn't hit that 150 because Exchange Parkway didn't get finished.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you.
That's super
Really
easy.
appreciate that. Any other questions for Vicki, our chief, or Ashley on the red light camera, since we're right on that one? Okay, great, thank you.
And there's just
Okay.
one more quick slide, the impound lot. Again, here, everything is looking great, revenue-wise and expenditures. So if y'all have any questions on that.
Okay, I had a question, and so do we take, what is our net for the year on the impound lot?
Well,
What do we have left over? Because I know one of the things we talked about this whole year is that whatever money's left over after we, pay, we bring in the money, we pay all of the expenditures. This is unencumbered money in general fund, and we can use this to meet the needs of our community. And I just want to know, what is that number? Because I don't recall us spending any money out of the out of the impound lot this year. Did we?
the impound lot is actually just in the other funds with the police. It's not its own separate account or really anything. So though this is not final, it will be your revenues minus your expenditures in impound.
Okay.
Will
so
be
that
what you
we're
have
looking
left
at-
over.
Yeah.
185, 113.
185,
Always
113.
use
I don't have my,
calculator.
What's up there?
Just
okay.
based on this, but
185,
113.
113.
And that's here, but again,
So
more maybe
because
coming
we
in
didn't spend it, it is now in the general reserve fund.
police,
for
general fund reserve.
But I guess I would just want us to keep that in mind, that was what we were talking about all year, was we were going to be able to use this revenue to meet the needs of our city if we didn't have it budgeted elsewhere. So
Right.
that's quite a bit of money.
Right.
So
Yes, and it will change. And
anyway, I just want to keep that. I'm going to keep that in my mind. So if we need money for something, we can say, "Hey, we've got it in the impound lot." Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Alrighty. So just again, this report and other financial reports can be found at our city website under Finance and Financial Transparency. So
Great.
thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Then moving on, if there's no further questions, we move then to agenda item number 3, our city manager's report. Ms. Kinsler, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you. Chief, or soon-to-be Chief Naughton, where are you? There he is. Come on up. I just wanted to introduce to the council and the community our new fire chief effective next week, the 22nd. This is Mr. Michael Naughton. He has almost 30 years of experience managing municipal EMS systems in Alamo Heights, Bandera County, and Chavano Park, including he's also got experience in EMS billing and then regulatory compliance. He also already works with the current medical director that we have, so he's already established a relationship there, and already should be plug and play. Should be pretty easy.
Was that the same one that you worked with at Chavano?
No, he's different.
Oh,
but
he's different.
I'm well
But you
acquainted
just-
with Dr.
okay.
Manifold.
Okay, you just knew him from your experience. Okay, very good.
Just wanted you to put a name to a face because he will be working here prior to the November council meeting. And so I just wanted you to introduce you to the new fire chief, welcome him, let the community know who your new fire chief is.
Welcome. We're so glad you're here. Thank you.
He was unanimously selected by the committee and also came recommended by our former fire chief, Chief Valdez. So we're very happy to have him on board. Welcome.
Thank you.
Right, great.
Continuing with the city manager's report, wanted to let you know of 2 upcoming ribbon cuttings. The Northwest Chamber of Commerce will be holding a ribbon cutting on October 19th, this Friday at 5:45 at the Ingram Park Mall Food Court. It's called the Burger Rim, and I've already sent an invitation to all council for that. The City of Leon Valley will be holding a ribbon cutting at the Family Dollar at 7:45 in the morning on Saturday because they want to open at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we told them we could do that prior to the coffee. So I've sent you all an invitation for that as well. The address is 6126 Wurzbach Parkway. Good news in the grant arena. We were awarded the 2018 ACOG Solid Waste Grant. That grant is in the amount of almost $20,000, and our match will be just over $2,000. We will be purchasing recycling stations for our parks and both of the pool locations. Similar recycling stations are used inside places such as Yankee Stadium and the Boston Transit System. And so I should have attached photos to that. I don't think I knew this information at the time my report went out. But this will help us promote recycling in the pools and in the parks. Also, the city manager's report is correct, but there's a typo on the agenda. The job fair is the 18th. Thank you, Councilor Alcacer, for pointing that out. It is the 18th from 9 to noon. Mayor Riley and I attended the Suburban Cities meeting in Judge Wolf's courtroom this past Monday. And I wanted just to give you all a heads up and let you know that we will need to appoint a census committee, which will consist of a diversity of representatives from around Leon Valley. Examples they gave us were in the areas of government, education, community organizations, media, workforce development, businesses, faith-based organizations, and other individuals based on our individual needs in our city. The committee's real purpose, as I understand the PowerPoint, is to raise awareness about the census count, and the impact that it actually has on Leon Valley as far as funding, so that we can motivate residents to get out there and apply, or not, but respond to the census, the 2020 census. The ambassadors that you all end up appointing for the census committee really will be an integral part of the 2020 census in Leon Valley. Leon Valley, in conjunction with the Alamo colleges, I just have been finalized it this week. We'll be working with their Economic Development Department, just like we are UTSA's. We'll be holding training events for local businesses in December, and we've already reserved the fire station training room for these events. Right now, we're in the coordination phase, but we do have our dates reserved. Once the curriculum is finalized based on our individual needs in Leon Valley, I will provide not only you, but also the Chamber with the information necessary to ensure that local businesses receive the benefit of this. And again, this is something that I've tapped into with the Alamo colleges that's free in the area of economic development. We need volunteers for the Leon Valley Neighborhood Renewal Program. We have it scheduled for Saturday, November 3rd from 8 to noon. It's in the Canterfield subdivision, and you'll see lots of invites from me this afternoon. I did an invite to you for that as well. Next regular City Council meeting will be held November 6th, 6 o'clock p.m. This Saturday, we have a coffee with the Mayor and Council from 9 to 11, the Conference Center. The topics will include the Animal Control Ordinance, the Tobacco 21, and the property located there on Poss and Peachtree. And then anything else that the citizens would like to discuss, of course, you always leave that open for that. Last day to register to vote for the November 6th election was October 9th. The library will be having a Halloween party October 27th from 9 to 2. The Arbor Day tree adoption, same day, community center porch from 9 to 2. Trash to treasure sale by the seniors, same day. Pet costume contest is from 10 to 11 in the grass area in front of the community center. And at the library Halloween party, they're encouraging everybody to wear costumes. The library also will have an animal stuffed sleepover. You drop off your animal at the library on November 9th from 3 to 6. And then, of course, they film them throughout the night and the activities that the stuffed animals for the kids did. Bridge dedication and Veterans Day event will be held November 11th at 1 o'clock p.m., Chief? I think the time on this is right, Melinda? Yeah, this time is wrong. That's at 1 o'clock p.m. Texas Recycles Days, November 17th from 8 to 10 at the Leon Valley Public Works Department. Annual Breakfast with Santas on December 21st. That's always sponsored by the Friends of the Library. It'll be at the Community Center from 8 in the morning until 10:30 in the morning. The annual Christmas tree lighting is 2 days later, December 3rd at 6 o'clock p.m., right there in front of the Conference Center. The annual Reading with Rudolph and food event is December 19th at 10:30 at the library. The Polar Express reading with hot chocolate and a visit from a special guest is December 20th at the library at 6:30. The Leon Valley Third Annual Job Fair is the 18th from 9 to noon or
9 a.m. till noon, yes.
Okay, that's what I have. Now I'm doubting myself because of that one, the email. Movies in the Park feature is Coco, October 26th at 7:30 p.m. in Raymond Rimkus Park. Upcoming committee meetings, the Zoning Commission will meet October 23rd at 6:30 right here. There will be a special Zoning Commission meeting November 13th, 6:30 right here, and another December 11th at 6:30 right here. The Board of Adjustment was held October 11th at 6 o'clock p.m. And the Police Advisory Board will meet tomorrow at 6 o'clock p.m. right here at City Hall. And with all that activity, or fall activity, I will stand for questions.
All right. Are there any questions for the city manager at this time? Okay. Any questions from our residents and guests on the city manager's report? There is a copy outside on the table, and Ms. Kinsler just gave the updated, but most of the information is outside on the table. So please take one with you.
And also on the website if you don't want to take the
Website,
paper.
yes. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're
Do
welcome.
appreciate it. All right, agenda item number 4, we have citizens to be heard. Is there anyone that would like to address the council? Please come forward and state your name and just where you live, and you have up to 5 minutes to speak. Good evening and welcome.
My name is Richard Miller. I
Yes, sir.
live on Handsome Lake.
Okay.
And I'd just like to request the council to revisit the city ordinance related to the keeping of chickens,
Okay.
and specifically related to the distance between the coop and another neighbor's house. 150 feet is sort of extreme for most areas in Leon Valley. Sort of requesting that that be decreased.
All right. We are speaking about that issue at the coffee on Saturday. I would really encourage you to come. My understanding is going to be chickens, cats, dogs, and horses. So we need your input on what you'd like.
I left the
Not
San
horses?
Antonio ordinance
Okay, I thought it was
with,
horses.
Dr. Rodriguez in case
in the city of San Antonio.
might be something you'd like to look at too.
Okay, very good. And I thought when we were up at TML, chickens is going to be on the legislative agenda as well. So they are looking, again, it was just one of a list of topics.
Thank you. I will see
Okay,
you
thank you,
Saturday.
Mr. Miller. All right.
If the bill
appreciate
makes it to committee or out of the committee.
Right, exactly. So I'm sorry, somebody gave this to me, and this is the San Antonio ordinance?
He had given me a copy
of San Okay.
Antonio and Leon Valley.
Oh, thank you. I will read this. Yes, ma'am. Welcome. And your name?
Timmerman, also,
Oh,
actually, we're
hi, Ms.
neighbors.
Timmerman.
Yeah.
Yes, we got your
So I'm
email.
able to make Saturday, but I
Uh-huh.
just want to reiterate what Mr. Miller has already suggested. We'd like it kind of similar to the San Antonio ordinance for the animals, including the dogs and cats. So that's just my opinion, but I won't make it Saturday. That's
Okay,
what
so
I'm
you're supporting the chickens,
chickens, cats, and dogs.
cats,
Okay,
and
I'll
dogs?
include goats if you want to put goats in there too. But,
Okay, all
To
right.
make it similar, it'd be much easier because the
Okay.
communities are just a street apart.
Okay,
And to have it different to me doesn't make sense.
okay, very
Thank
good. Thank
you.
you.
That's it.
Really appreciate it. We'll so note that. All right. And Mr. Campbell, my goodness, you're such a wonderful leader of these young future leaders in our community. Thank you.
All right, I'm Forrest Campbell of Troop 911. We don't live in Leon Valley, but
we claim you.
right. But I want to thank the present mayor, Chris Riley, and also Mayor Moffett. We were having meetings with Mayor Moffett in those times. But one of these days, one of these boys might take over your job. Not soon, but hopefully, you know, as soon as they get through college and everything like that. But thank everybody for continuing to support with Troop 911 and keep up with the Boy Scouts.
We will. Thank you. It's a commitment. All right. Yes.
Comment?
You may. Councilor Martinez.
One thing I'd like to address these Boy Scouts, never say never. And when I first moved to Leon Valley back in 2002, 2001, I took the mayor's citizens leadership class and her community leadership class. And then I went on to be on the zoning commission for a while, and now I'm a city council member. And I would have never thought in a million years I would ever run for elected office. So don't ever say never. You guys could be our next leader.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Campbell. All right. Anyone else like to address the council at this time? Please come forward and state your name and where you live. Thank you. And we know who this is. Hello, Ms. Martinez. How are you?
I'm Pat Martinez, live at 6319 Ruth Sophie, Leon Valley. I'm here tonight to talk about an invitation that the Chamber of Commerce is having. It's a Ritz and Glitz Ladies and Gentlemen's Night. It's like a gala. It's going to be on the October 26th from 5 to 11 p.m. The events are cocktails start at 6, dinner starts at 7. Silent auctions are from 6 to 10. And there will be a performer named Clinton Jansky. And there will be casino tables as well at 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. This is just a fundraiser for the Chamber of Commerce, and this is their biggest fundraiser of the year. And it's going to be held at the Courtyard San Antonio SeaWorld on West Hover Hills. Now, the dinner is going to be a buffet, and from what I've heard, it's going to be a very, very extensive buffet. So it should be a good time. The cost of the tickets are $50 per person, and I realize that sometimes a little bit high, but like it is a fundraiser, and you will have a good meal, and you will have a good time, and hopefully you'll enjoy your night and have a pleasant time afterwards.
All right. Thank you very much. Do appreciate that. All right. Anyone else like to come forward during Citizens to be Heard? Okay. Seeing no one else, then we'll move to announcements by the mayor and council. Councilor Edwards, do you have any announcements this evening?
Oh, well, it's great to see everyone coming out for the presentations and staying for the meeting on a cold day and evening. And I, like many of the city council members, went to the Texas Municipal League, and at some point I'd like to maybe report on some of the things that I gleaned from that experience, but I don't want to take up a lot of time tonight, so I'll try to find another time where that might be appropriate. But thanks to the city for allowing us to participate in that great program, and thanks again for coming out this evening.
Thank you. Councilor Rodriguez.
Just backing up what Dr. Edwards said, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. Boy Scouts, I sure do hope one day you're in one of our seats leading our community. And lastly, I want to welcome our new fire chief. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Councilor Alcacer.
Yes, a couple of things. I echo Councilor Edwards on the conference. It was, as one of our speakers said, came back a better person and hopefully a better council member. And we need to keep working on a lot of things. But I'd like to commend the police on almost 1,300 tickets, I guess, were written in the past few weeks. I hadn't seen a number anywhere near that in the last few years. I don't know if I didn't notice it before, but I noticed it this week. There's a flashing light and flashing stop signs at Evers and Seneca, and it's wonderful. In the dark, it's no more dark.
I think we've had those there.
And
yeah.
Been there for a while.
Yeah, it's been there. You just are not on this side of Bandera Road. And I'm not on your side of Bandera Road.
The blinking stop signs are new.
Nice.
And so, anyway, it's we appreciate what our staff is doing, and I like all the smiles I'm seeing tonight, and continue to be kind to one another. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Martinez.
Like everybody said, the TML conference was really great. It's something Boy Scouts have something to look forward to. A couple of the companies that do work for our city took us out to dinner, and it was at a very fancy steakhouse. Unfortunately, we went to the same place 2 nights in a row, but the steaks were fantastic. It's almost like here, if you go to like Perry's or Ruth's Chris, the steaks were that good. That's one thing you have to look forward to. But I did learn a lot, like my other counselor said. We did learn a lot at this conference. It seems like the sessions were better this year. The information was a lot more current, and I really enjoyed it. And the only other comment I have is the blinking sign at Seneca and Handsome Lake is blocked by a tree, and the solar panel can't get enough light to stay lit. I don't know if the tree can be trimmed back so it gets a little more light or whatever, but it was out for a couple of days completely dead. Thank you.
Thank
It
you,
blinks during the day, but not at night. You don't need it in the day.
Councilor Jordan. Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Has already been previously. I just want to reiterate Leon Valley sponsored job fair for October 18th at the community center from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. October is a Disability Employment Awareness Month. So we partner with Northside Independent School District, the Department of Rehabilitative Services, Texas Workforce Commission, and the City of Leon Valley to provide employers that hire people with intellectual disabilities and other disability challenges. We currently have 35 employers signed up, and we're looking for a good turnout and a good result. So that's October 18th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the community center. Thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Just wanted to mention just a few things. Early voting begins October 22nd to November 2nd, and one of our early voting sites is in Leon Valley at the Leon Valley Conference Center. But remember, you can vote anywhere across the county during early voting, but we're really lucky to have a voting site. Just another reminder, there's all these galas going on in October. I don't know what it is about October, but the Historical Society, the old house across the street, they're having their annual fundraiser this coming Friday at the community center, and tickets are $40 each, and you can get them online beginning at 6:30. Hope to see everyone at the coffee. Those are always really, really good community events because we get to hear from you and your concerns. But we also are addressing those 3 issues that Ms. Kinsler mentioned: the animal control ordinance, tobacco 21, and then the lot at Peachtree and Poss. So we'd love to get your input on that. The TML conference, as all of you have figured out, we all went last week, and it was a real shot in the arm. You get re-energized, you connect on the issues, you network, motivational speakers. But we do have a battle this coming legislative session 2019. I think I went to 2 sessions. The state is trying to diminish our local control. And so we're trying to say, hey, but we're home rule and we should be able to govern ourselves. And so that's one of the major issues that we're going to be dealing with. But anyway, we learned how to advocate for our city, and we learned what the issues are going to be. And we'll keep you apprised as the legislative session continues. But that was just one of many. Did go to the 2020 census. And as Ms. Kinsler said, something I learned is that in 2010, everybody got a mail-in ballot. Everybody. Not ballot, but mail-in census. Remember, you either got the short form or the long form. This year, what I'm understanding, or next year in 2019, you're going to get a postcard, and you're going to be able to say if you want. They want everybody to go online. That's their preference. But you can take your census on the phone, and you can take it by paper. But the paper is going to be the last resort, the last choice. But they really, really are trying to encourage people to go online. And so Ms. Kinsler and I are talking about how the library is going to be real instrumental on people that need to go and use the computer if they don't have one at their own home. So again, if you're interested, we'll do a reach out for this committee, the Census Committee, and so we'll try to have that together by spring of next year. Just a congratulations to our city manager, Kelly Kinsler. She was elected to represent the city managers on the TML board. I think you're beginning now, right? The gentleman that was representing the city managers went off the board as of last week, and so she's the new representative for the whole state of Texas on city managers. So congratulations. And she was also elected vice president of our local Region 7 city managers. So thank you for your leadership. We appreciate it. All right. So anything else? All right. Moving then to the consent agenda. That's agenda item number 6. Is there anyone on the council that would like to remove any of the consent agenda items for discussion? Consent agenda item 1 through 6. Hearing no objections to those consent agenda items, may I please have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve consent agenda 6.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Counselor Alcacer and a second by Counselor Rodriguez to approve consent agenda items number 6.1 through 6.6. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Moving then to agenda item number 7. It is entitled Ordinance. This is our second readings. 7.1 and 7.2 we discussed at the last City Council meeting, and so we are now bringing those back as required by our home rule charter for a second reading, and this is the meeting that we will vote on it. So, with that said, I would like to ask our City Secretary, Sandra Pasale, to please read ordinance number 7.1.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council accepting the lowest responsive bid and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with RCO Construction in the amount of $297,297 with the 15% for contingency for the purpose of constructing the Bluebird Lane Water Line Extension and Post Road Sewer Main and Drainage Improvements Project, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, thank you very much. Our Public Works Director, Melinda Moritz, is here this evening to present. Good evening and welcome. I think it was Mr. Demline that was here last meeting, so is there any updates on this particular ordinance?
I believe the council had requested to know what the engineering fees were, and so that was put into your packet.
Okay, all right, very good. With that information, is there any other questions for the council, from the council to Ms. Moritz on this particular agenda item? All right.
I make a motion, we approve this item as presented.
And second.
All right, we have a motion by Counselor Martinez and a second by Counselor Jordan to approve ordinance number 7.1 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Moving then to ordinance number 7.2. Ms. Pasale, if you'll please read the ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council accepting the lowest responsive bid and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Clark Construction of Texas in the amount of $544,644.60 with 15% for contingency for the purpose of constructing the fiscal year 2018 Stirrup Lane and Forest Pine Mill and overlay and street improvements program, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Moritz, are there any updates on agenda item 7.2?
I had put a revised PowerPoint in your packet, and then we also gave the street ranking list of all the streets in Leon Valley, and so if you don't have any questions, that's all we had.
All right. I think I had a question. What is our balance after?
Oh, that's also in your packet.
Okay, I didn't see that. Yeah. If you could show me
The balance, which is unaudited as of 9/30,
Mhm.
was $1,687,097.
And that's after this expenditure?
No, that was as of 9/30.
Oh, 9:30. Then we'll have this expenditure, so we minus it, and that'll be the difference. Okay, thank you for that clarification. All right, any questions? Yes, Counselor Alcacer.
Yes, I appreciate what you put in, but it really raised some red flags for me.
Okay.
We tried to ask Mr. Demeline last time how these were chosen, and it's even more puzzling now. They're like one streets, when you have that highlighted one that you just took off at 76, and it's one of those streets is ranked pretty high, and there's so many low streets. I just can't fathom what we're doing, and I'd like a little bit more detail on that. Plus, we really didn't get any information on the all of the handicap things. You said 84 or 86 of them, and we didn't get any explanation of how and why. You're picking all the top streets, yeah, for getting that even better than and there's so many bad ones.
The 89 curb ramps is lumped in. And so you saw the 3 different bids that we got. Each one did the same thing. They go and they look to see, and they do an aerial, and they find out this is how many curb ramps are in that area. Not every one of them is going to have to be rebuilt totally. It depends on what kind of a slope it's at. And so there will be some that are rebuilt. There will be some that will be fine. They all need those truncated domes. They call them detectable warning pads. And so that's why that's a part of that bid. As far as the streets themselves, so you know we did the street paver index project, and we ranked all the streets. The streets that are in this project are in our year 1 package. We have years 1 through 4 planned.
But how were they chosen? Because most of the things are 2 to 2.5 years old on the rankings, and many of the streets are far worse, and we still are picking
the newer streets.
Top. One of the streets is a good street.
They went back and re-ranked them in order to put this package together. And so the rankings were still just about at the same, even though you do have some bad ones. And so if you look at this rating scale, let's go here first. Anything that ranks a 59 and below needs a heavy mill and overlay, okay? Anything that's 74 to 60 needs a medium mill and overlay. Anything that ranks from an 89 to, or 75 to an 89 needs just a slurry coat on the street. And then from 90 to 100 typically just needs crack sealing, okay? And what this will show you is that if we can spend the money to keep our streets that are between 75 and 100% slurry coated, then we save them and we only spend $1 doing it. And this is just illustrative. If we don't save them now, then what will happen is they slide off the scale and it costs us a lot more to fix them later on. So the program that we're trying to implement is let's get the ones that are between 70 and 90 to 100 and keep those slurry sealed, but also work on the ones that need the heavy mill and overlay and the medium mill and overlay. And what you also don't see in this package is that the stirrup lane and the stirrup circle and the other one, Forest Pine, they're not the only ones that are getting the heavy mill and overlay or a medium mill and overlay. We're also doing Cades Cove Circle, and Mill Wheel, but those are part of that Cades Cove project. And so we're actually doing 6 streets instead of just the 3 that are mentioned in this package for this year. And so that's the theory behind it. Does that help?
Well, it helps a little, but when are any of the streets that are 50 and below coming up in the first 4 years?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, those are the ones, because it's more expensive, we can only do a few per year. We can't do a whole bunch of them per year. So the theory in this concept is we're going to do some slurry seal per year, but we're also going to pick streets that need a heavy mill and overlay or a medium for each one of the years 1 through 5 or 1 through 4.
For example, El Verde, I don't think it's ever been done.
El Verde, to do what we need to do to El Verde, it needs a complete reconstruction. I can't take that out of street maintenance funds. That has to come from the general fund. And we've had it, an opinion of cost done on it, a probable cost. It's over $1 million. That street has 26 homes. And so I spoke with the residents on that street, explained what the problem is. I can't justify spending over $1 million on one street that serves one tiny community. But what we can do is we can do some base failure repairs, replace the portion that's in front of the fire station with concrete, because every time they turn that 77,000-pound truck, it eats up the asphalt right there. And so we'll replace that whole section there with concrete. And the rest of it is just going to get the slurry seal until it falls apart. We don't have any other choice. Now, we may be able to get that grant funded, especially we need to replace the water line that's underneath that street. So that will be a project that gets brought up with council. And at that time, we can do some of the base failure repairs with that project.
Okay, so that part that's torn up right now, where the street's gone and the county will have to
repair
fix that part, so that might have one nice section on the street.
They have to fix the end too, because in their plans, it's planned to be a cul-de-sac. And so they'll have to rip that whole end out, make a cul-de-sac, and that'll fix that part.
That'll be nice.
And then I think we just go at it year by year, fixing a piece at a time, because it's so expensive.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Counselor Jordan.
I'm trying to understand the process here. So when you do the heavy mill and overlay on the ones that's on the streets that are the most damaged and on your ceiling of the other streets, what's the cost for those? Can that money be? I'm just having trouble. I live in the Ridge, and it was on the chart.
If
My
I
house.
wait until your street, and I don't know what rank it is, I haven't looked up your street in particular, but if I wait, say your street is at a 89 right now.
Mhm.
Right now, it's going to cost me, let's see, we have an estimate up here. Now, keep in mind, this estimate is from a couple of years ago. So it's going to cost me 51 cents per square foot right now. If I wait till your street falls off and it's down into the low 70s or high 60s, then that's going to start costing money. And you can see for a medium mill and overlay, it's $5.60 a square foot. So that's why we're trying to keep the good streets good, but also add in bad streets as we go.
Okay. Well, on the optics level, it don't look too good. Let's be honest. It seems like the streets that are newer, the home subdivisions that are newer, would be on the bottom, and the ones that's been waiting for a while. And we hear people, some of the citizens, concerns about the streets.
Anytime that you have a concern about a particular street, please let us know, because we're going to be reevaluating this ranking program. I mean, the streets in the rank every single year that we do this. Right now, we're preparing for year 2, and so we'll be doing the same thing. We're going to go out, pick streets that we know have a score of 70 or better, try and do some slurry seal there, but also pick the ones that need heavy mill and overlay or a medium mill and overlay, and put that together as a package. The other thing we try and do as well is if I've got heavy mill and overlay in Old Mill, I don't want to pair that with a heavy mill and overlay that's in Canterfield, because then I've got to pay 2 mobilizations because they're not in the same location. And so that's why we picked Stirrup Lane, Stirrup Circle, and Forest Pine. I only have to mobilize to one area, so it saves money.
Okay, and you said we wouldn't do anything basically for El Verde unless it just fell apart. So at that point, what would that?
It's up to the council, but I couldn't see coming in here and saying, hi, I want to spend $1.5 million on a street that has our fire truck on it, but only has, 26 homes. And I did speak to the residents on El Verde and told them what the costs were, and they're the ones who told me, no, just do a slurry seal.
So the curbs and the ramps, those just would you say they need to be touched up, or just some of them?
Now, some are at a bad slope. If they're beyond 2%, then yes, it will have to be ripped out and made ADA accessible. The reason why we have to do that is any time that you touch one of the streets, like we're going to do, and do some different curbs and things, you are required to do the sidewalk ramps by law. And so if it's a bad ramp, I have to replace it. I don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be in neighborhoods throughout Leon Valley, wherever we touch.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Maybe everybody knows this, but I'm not sure on it. How many approximate streets do we have in the city?
I don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay. I was just trying to figure out how long it's going to take us to work through this process. And I hear what you're saying. You want to save some that are starting to kind of wear, because if you let it go, then it'll be a bigger expense. But, like Councilman Jordan says, it's, if you live in a neighborhood where it's, kind of really worn down, people say, what's the deal?
Right. I have no favorites across the city. I'm not doing anybody in particular street.
Thank you.
Did you have a question? No. Okay. Melinda, does El Verde Road qualify for any CDBG grants?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay.
The only neighborhood we have that
is
qualifies
still just the
still
Old Mill. I just
so that's why
thought
we're
maybe
doing, like we did Conestoga last year when we
right.
replaced those water and sewer mains. So those streets in there, they come off our list. Those I can do with
right. CDBG.
We don't have to touch street maintenance funds.
Right. Okay, now this is the first year of this new program.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? So prior to this year, we always just slurry sealed, and the only street that I can remember that we completely redid was Poss Road.
Poss and then Evers. They did
And
Evers,
Evers,
one
that's
other
right.
time.
Evers too, that's right. So,
Right,
but
and
we
so-
always did slurry seal, and that's good, but what I have heard from our residents is we just kept slurry sealing, slurry sealing, slurry sealing, and all of a sudden we don't have a curb anymore, and now we have a drainage problem.
It's the disappearing curb syndrome.
Exactly.
Curbs are supposed to be between 6 and 8 inches. If you
right.
look in Grass Valley and some places in Forest Oaks, in Timber Hill, you'll see curbs that are 1 inch, 2 inch. We have no drainage system left.
So I guess we just need to communicate that this is a new program, and we just need to see how it plays out. But it's going to be a longer process.
Yes.
Because we used to do 7 miles every year slurry seal. So we always got a good number of streets in.
And it wasn't all in vain. I mean, it does save streets.
That's right.
It just spends a lot of money on things that you don't need versus being able to do heavy mill and overlays where you've got base failures. And our goal is to save that street before it hits 50% base failure, because after that, I can't use the street maintenance fund anymore. I have to use general fund money.
And Evers Road was paid through an MPO grant. So that's why we could afford that. And then Post Road, I think, came out of our general fund, as I recall. Okay, very good. So it's just, streets are very, very important. And I always remember getting the phone calls after somebody's street was slurry sealed. They loved it. Oh, Mayor, thank you. I love my street. So anyway, we're not getting that right now.
So are we going to do 2 or 3 since we haven't done it before and we have these funds built up? We can do more this year and not wait.
Correct.
And that's in the plans?
Yes, ma'am. We were going to do year 1 last year, but we had a changeover of engineers during the middle of the year. And so taking all the projects that we do and lumping them onto a new engineer was a little overwhelming for that engineer. And so he got the plans ready, and we've done the bids, as you know. And so now we're in a new fiscal year. So this year was when I had planned to do year 2. So we're going to do year 1 and year 2 in the same year.
This year, okay.
And the potholes, are we going to do at San Antonio? If I call you in one, will it be done within the 24 or 48 hours? Or get the pizza people
I was going
to
to
do
call
it?
the pizza people, you know. I'm busy
pizza.
over here.
Okay. Are we able to do potholes? Because
Oh,
I
absolutely.
hit a big one today.
Absolutely.
I know, this rain is really.
And the good part about that is our construction crew is right there. If someone calls in a pothole to me, they go out that day. So
Okay, well, so we beat
So
San
we'll
Antonio.
get that information out.
We're
So
tiny.
if you go through a pothole, call Public Works, right?
We only have 45 miles of street.
Okay.
So we're quick.
Okay, very good. Did you have another question? Okay, very good. All right.
No.
Yes,
Are you
Councilor
using
Martinez.
that, I know TML last year, I think it was last year or year before, that one company had that really gooey stuff that you can put down and to patch potholes, or?
No, I wanted to use that year before last because I had seen it too at one of the trade shows. And so I brought the bag back and showed the guys, and they were like, They like what they like. They work with what they work with. And every now and then they'll let me try something new and cool, but most of the time it's tried and true.
They don't like change. Okay, we do have a question from Lynn Joseph, our neighbor on Trotter. Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good, great.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Lynn Joseph, 6423 Trotter. And I just have a question about how much did, if any, did POS take abuse from all the trucks that were going up and down for the bridge? There were some big trucks going up and down Evers and POS. And I know we've gotten new potholes in there now, so I was just wondering if are they going to be responsible for that?
No, they won't be responsible for it. Actually, they didn't take that bad of a beating at all from their trucks. So we did pretty good. What got us is the rain. The rain has just wreaked havoc.
Okay, good question. All right, anything else before we decide to take a vote on this? What is the pleasure of the council on ordinance 7.2?
I'll reluctantly make a motion to approve it as presented.
Okay. All right. We have a motion by Councilor Alcacer and a second by Councilor Edward to approve ordinance number 7.2 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Thank you so much, Melinda, for that information. Moving then to the regular agenda item 1 and 2. These two ordinances are first reads. And so we will not have a vote on 8.1 or 8.2. But let me ask Ms. Pasale to please read regular agenda item number 8.1.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council granting a specific use permit for indoor entertainment facility at Lot 10, Block 1, Bandera Center, Unit 4A, Leon Valley, Bexar County, Texas, generally located on the south side of Northwest Loop 410, approximately 800 feet east of Bandera Road, providing for repealer, severability, and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Milan. Welcome. Glad you're here.
How are you? Thank you.
You bet.
This is a request this evening for a specific use permit for an entertainment indoor facility as defined by our zoning code. The applicant is here this evening. I'm sure he would like to speak on his behalf and is available to answer any questions. The applicant, Sergio Cardona. The exact address is 5630 Northwest Loop 410, Suite 103. As you know, that's the facility that connects up to the School of Science and Technology. It has Metro
right.
PCS and a few other tenants in there.
Like a mattress company,
Mattress
right?
company, yes, thank you.
Right.
And so the property is zoned B3. And in the B3 district, there are a number of commercial uses that you can conduct there. However, any kind of entertainment uses in our code, whether it's entertainment outdoor, entertainment indoor, does require a specific use permit.
Okay.
So that is why he is here requesting that use from the council. This request was considered by the Planning and Zoning Commission at their last meeting. They recommended unanimous approval of this request. Just a few more details on the request. It's more specifically, it's for a birthday party center for kids 6 months to age 10 years. In terms of, next steps for the applicants, their next step would be obtaining a certificate of occupancy. But of course, before we can award a certificate of occupancy, they have to have this specific use permit approved. The things that we look at for requests like this, we look at our comprehensive plan. We also look at other issues such as parking, traffic impact analysis. The comprehensive plan doesn't give us any specific guidance on this other than, commercial uses need to be located away from residential areas, no residential areas nearby. And as far as traffic impact goes, they complied with all the requirements of the code. They submitted us a traffic impact analysis. Doesn't indicate any adverse traffic impacts.
Okay.
So with that, staff does not have any concerns with this request. We recommend approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, very good. Yes. Is the applicant here this evening? All right. Mr. Cardona, do you have anything to add to the presentation? Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me be here. I'm just going to give a brief summary of what our business entails and what we're about, and then if you guys have any questions,
Okay.
I'm happy to
Very
answer.
good.
My name is Sergio Cardona. I'm the owner of Amazing Play. Amazing Play is going to be a family-owned indoor play place and birthday party center, which will be designed for children's ages 6 months to 10 years. Our mission is to provide a safe, clean...
Mr. Cardona?
Yeah, we need you to be speaking into the microphone. I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
And can we have the lights on, please?
Okay, that's good.
All right, great. Thank you.
All right. Our mission is to provide a safe, clean, spacious, colorful, and fun place for family entertainment. Our unique indoor facility will offer a variety of play houses, climbers, slides, tunnels, rockers, cars, soft play equipment, an inflatable jump house, a ball pit, and even an infant area designed for the little ones. We were going to encourage children and their accompanied adults to discover their imagination, improve their motor skills, and interact with other children while having lots of fun and enjoying hours of quality time. All children must be accompanied by a parent, guardian, or caregiver, as we will not be a daycare facility. Our facility will be climate controlled and will be clean and sanitized daily. Socks will be required to play. We will be a sock facility which promotes good health and maintains a clean environment. During the week, we will offer hours of open play and private birthday parties on the weekends. We will allow outside food and drinks for parties, but we will not have or allow any alcoholic beverages of any sort. Amazing Play, I believe, would be a great fit for the city of Leon Valley and surrounding areas so that they can meet with their friends or make a reservation for their preschool, church, mom groups, and birthday party, and watch their children play together in a clean, safe environment. And if y'all have any questions, then I'm open.
Very good. Is this your first venture, or do you have another one of these facilities
Actually, this would be
elsewhere?
my second
Your
business
second?
venture. Yes, I currently own an aftermarket auto lighting parts and accessory company.
Okay.
But over the course of the last 2 years, I've seen a steady decline, and only because of the sense that more competition is starting to come out there. Products, the market is changing, so me, rather than wait till it goes completely under, or I can't recuperate.
Okay, so you're trying to anticipate.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly,
I see.
right. Yes.
Okay, and let's see. What are your hours of operation?
We're going to be open Monday through Friday from 9 to, the open play is going to be from 9 to, I believe, 5:30 is what we're going to do.
Okay.
And then at 6, we'll host one private birthday party Monday through Friday from 6 to like
Monday
8
through
or
Friday.
9.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, and then Saturday, and you're closed on Sunday?
No, we'll be open Saturdays and Sundays.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it will be a 7-day a week.
Oh, okay.
Saturdays and Sundays are going to be reserved only for parties, for private parties.
I see. That's right. I think I
And I
read that.
believe we'll be opening at 10, and our last party will end about 9 in the evening, 10.
Okay. I thought I heard you say that each child has to be accompanied by a parent or a guardian or a...
Yes.
Okay, so is that like with parties too? So it's
Well, yeah,
one-on-one?
during the parties, I mean, well, the adults will be there and stuff like that. So, I mean, we do recommend and ask that, they monitor their children and stuff like that. But since it's going to be private, nobody else is going to be coming in and out from outdoors, or anyone that they wouldn't know. So, the facility would not necessarily be locked down, but, it's just closed for them and their children, their party. But during the week, when we have the hours of open play, is when they need to stay with their child and play with them, interact with them, stuff like that, keep an eye on them, and stuff like that, because that's when we have, more people coming in and out and stuff like that.
Okay. So I'm assuming you're going to have a website with all of this information and the cost and all that too. So-
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Very good. Any other questions for Mr. Cardona? Yes. Mr. Martinez, and then Councilor Alcacer.
Are you going to have video games, electronic games in there?
The only electronic game that we may have, because like I said, it's going to be from 6 to 10 ages, 6 months to 10. We're going to have air hockey table, and then for the private parties and stuff like that for the weekends, we'll have a pool table for the adults. But mostly it's going to be the bounce house. We're going to have some interactive playing areas and stuff like that. My plan is to make a little customized like shopping center, because kids love playing, shopping and food. I have a toddler myself. She's 4 years old, and she loves to play pretend, kitchen and shopping. She's got like 4 different shopping carts that she just loves, playing stuff like that. So kids like the idea of, imagination and imagining, shopping, that they're adults and stuff like that.
Right.
The only other question I have is, what can a 6-month-old do at a party place? Or is it more for you bring them and throw them in some kind of a game room, and the parents?
No, I
have
mean,
the
yeah,
parties?
you're right. I mean, a 6-month-old to maybe even 9 months can't do much, but that's why we're going to have an enclosed area where we're going to have designated for toddlers. So we're going to have like little comfy like pillows, padded mats, to where some of them can crawl, sit, where the parents can play with them, stuff like that. We're going to have the wall panels where they interact and stuff like that, and those little leapfrog tables where the toddlers, where they're barely learning how to stand and stuff like that, they press the buttons and it makes sounds, music, stuff like that. So, but we will have a little enclosed area for the young ones.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilor Alcacer.
So it sounds like a potentially very good idea. What would you do with a parent who comes in with a 1, 5, and 9-year-old? They all have different interests. Do you have staff that's going to be around? The parents certainly can't be watching all 3 all the time at every...
Right, that's a good question. Yeah, our goal, our plan is to, yes, have employees that are walking around within the facility to help monitor, just to make sure that the kids are safe, and they're not climbing or doing something that they shouldn't be, where they can injure themselves or any other child.
So at a birthday party, and somebody brings in a 9-month-old and the birthday party's for a 6-year-old, what kind of provision is that going to be when you're trying to pay attention to the child's birthday and the baby's rolling around or crawling
Well, to
around?
that respect, if a parent who's attending a birthday party has, a 9-month-old or be it 6-month-old, stuff like that. I mean, normally as a parent, they're normally close to their child, and they should be watching them and stuff like that and tending to them. So, I mean, we're not really, I mean, it would be impossible because let's say, we get a group of, a lot of young infants and stuff like that, for us to be physically taking care of them or watching them, stuff like that, because that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to provide a facility where, instead of having the kids tearing up the house inside or, getting bored with just what they have there, they can come to our place where they can interact and play, and that way that also the parents, because we're going to encourage that, that the parents, interact with their child and stuff like that.
But it sounds like you're not quite prepared for that kind of scenario, because if they're trying to light candles for the 6-year-old, then they're supposed to be carrying the 6 or 9-month-old, I guess. So I just thought you might need to consider having a little staff to assist in that, unless you're telling them bring a bunch of chaperones with them when they come to the party, which some do. But
Right. No, I mean, we're going to have party hosts too for the parties and stuff like that, for the weekend parties, because that's where we anticipate to really be busy is, our private parties. So the H party is going to have 2 party hosts, and then, whatever other staff that we may have on hand and stuff like that, excuse me, to, be around and just keep an eye out and stuff like that. But as a parent, when my daughter was 6, 7, 8, 9 months old, when I would go to parties, she never left our side. It was either my
right,
wife
but you
or
didn't
my
have the older child at the time.
No, yeah, well, yeah, we didn't have an old. My oldest he's 14 now, but backtrack 4 years ago he was 10 and stuff like that. Yes, he didn't need that much supervision, but as parents, we still keep an eye out and stuff like that. Well, at least we did. So I mean, I don't think honestly, I really don't feel that it'd be too much of an issue, because where parents are going to come in and just drop their baby off and walk off, because I mean, you don't. I rarely see something like that, even at other places, whether it be Peter Piper Pizza or other venues that, we've used to go to host our daughter's birthday party. So, I mean, I don't anticipate necessarily being something, major, but I mean, I'll keep that under consideration in mind and stuff like that to prepare.
On weekdays, how many, what would be the maximum number of children allowed?
I don't know if we would have a maximum number. I mean, I know we're only allowed so many people inside the facility, but I don't anticipate that, during the week for us to have more than, I don't know, I'd say 35, 40 children within an hour or 2-hour time frame, because these places, I mean, hopefully, we are busy and stuff like that, and we do have a lot of people coming in and out. But I mean, a lot of times, facilities
So you're
like
already
this
open?
No, we're not. No, that's why that's why we're here, because we need
Pay first.
the permission to.
You had said you have a lot of people coming in. That's what I heard.
Oh no, I just mean like in the future, like
So, is it going to be an hourly? You play for an hour for one fee, or you can play all day for one fee?
No, you can play all day. We would charge an entrance fee per child, and they're welcome to stay there as long as they want. And then of course the parties, they're tailored to packages.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jordan, did you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Counselor Edwards, and then Mr. Jordan.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
I'm just
Sometimes
wondering.
I don't see you over here.
Seems like you did some due diligence and looked at some similar businesses and how they operated. Would that be the case, or?
Yes, I mean, not only would we attend as parents, but yes, we've done research, stuff like that. We visited other facilities, because the idea is for us to offer something different, something more affordable as well. Because a lot of these places, they charge per head count, especially for birthday parties, and sometimes at minimum for like a 10-kid count, you're looking at like $350, and then I can see some that they go all the way to like $600-700. So we're trying to be competitive where we don't really necessarily offer a total head count. We're gonna market it to where you can have so many children. Yes, there would be kind of like a head count, but it's not broken out to where like 10 is $300, 15 is $350, 20, you know what I mean? So that's what we're trying to do, because we want to be different. We want to be better. We want to be different and more affordable.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Jordan.
And so I was just wondering how many employees that you have currently, and how many do you anticipate to potentially hire in the future?
Right now, we're going to start off with 4. Okay, because like I said, for the private parties, it's going to be a little bit more of a controlled environment, in the sense, two hosts, and then we'll have one at the main counter of the facility, and then one within, and then during the week and stuff like that, I believe we're going to have 2 to 3.
Okay, will those individuals be from Leon Valley? Will you consider hiring people from Leon Valley?
Yes, yes, I'm not gonna oppose to not hiring anybody. But yeah, once we do start, putting the word out. But yeah, by all means, anybody is more than welcome to apply once we get the word out and stuff like that.
Okay, and your previous business, was it in Leon Valley, or was it somewhere else?
At one point, yes, I was here for 3 years in Leon Valley off of Reindeer Trail.
Okay.
I was there for 3 years.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, this new business is a high probability that the rate of children won't decline, like the old
Right.
business you're talking about. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And just one last thing. Did you say you're going to have food to sell, or just people bring their own food in for the birthdays?
There's 2 different things. During the week, we will offer general snacks.
Okay.
Chips, cookies, munchies, juice, stuff like that.
You're not going to be cooking or anything.
Yeah, but we're not going to be cooking. We're not going to have a pizzeria indoors or food. But for the parties, they would bring their food from the outside. Whether they want to source out to the local pizzerias that are in the area, which is Domino's, Papa John's, and I believe Pizza Hut was one of them. Yeah, or they can bring in their crock pots.
Okay, so you let them bring the food
stuff
in,
like that.
but just have minimal. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Any other questions from our council? This is requiring a public hearing, so let me open the public hearing at 7:38 on October the 16th, and ask if there's any member of our community or visitors that would like to address. Yes. Okay, thank you, Mr. Campbell. I know it's time, it's a school night, and the Boy Scouts are leaving. Thank y'all very much. Look forward to working with y'all again. Bye. Take care. Thank you. Y'all have a good evening.
Gotta get the goodies on the way out. That's what they wanted.
They wanted the cake, yeah. They didn't want it to all be all gone. Okay, Ms. Joseph, you had a question for Mr. Cardona.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Are the staff going to be the ones that are going to do cleanup and the sterilization? Or are you going to have separate housekeeping crew?
No, yes, us and the staff, we will be the ones to be doing the cleaning and stuff like that. So yeah, we're gonna be doing everything.
What kind of products are you going to use?
Ms. Joseph, could you ask your questions in the mic, please?
Sorry. I wanted to know if it was going to be staff or who would be doing the cleanup for the parties and during the week, or if they're going to hire a separate cleaning crew.
And then to answer your question, no, it'd be us doing all the cleaning and sanitation and stuff like that. And as far as to the other question that you had about the products, we would be using, your sanitation wipes, your Clorox, stuff like that, and then, I have a supplier, because I have my own business, I have a supplier, because I used to detail cars, so I have a supplier that offers, different types of cleaning products and stuff like that. So I'm going to source through them, to make sure I get the proper chemicals and items needed to make sure we sanitize and keep the facility clean.
Thank you. Yes.
Kind of a funny question. Is your daughter's name Emma?
Yes, it is. Very good.
Claims the name.
Yes.
Amazing. That's very cute.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to ask a question for for Mr. Cardona while we have the public hearing. All right. Yes, Mr. Prophet, good evening and welcome. Thank you for being here.
I'm Larry Prophet from 6307 Rusofi. It's not really a question, it's
Mhm.
just a make-aware thing.
Okay.
The only sales tax that could be collected off this facility
Mhm.
is concessions.
Concessions, okay.
Okay, just making sure.
Well, I don't know that. I thought you were saying that to us. So, yes, Ms.
Mayor,
Kessler?
Counselor, not 100% sure, but I don't think that's correct because, for instance, when you pay a gym fee to use the facility, there's a tax on that.
Mhm.
So, I'm not sure. I would have to check, but there may be a sales tax on that. We'd have to look.
Oh, on the...
I did check, though, because there's a new gym going over there by the HEB, and I specifically checked with the comptroller's office, and there is a sales tax added to the gym fee membership.
Okay, so there may be a sales tax added to your general admission fee? Is that what you're saying?
I think it's possible, but I will check and get back with you on that. Do you know the answer to that?
Yes.
I was trying to compare it to the aquarium, where
Right.
there's the same kind of fee.
Right.
But if it's a different kind of fee, then I feel we should collect
Sure.
sales tax.
Okay. Thank you.
To answer that question, I mean, I believe, because of the research that I've done, I believe because we're considered to offer a service by offering the location for them to come and host their parties, there is a sales tax.
There is a
on
sales
the
tax.
general admission.
On the
and then
general
any
admission.
snacks and stuff like that,
Okay.
of course, obviously, yes.
Okay, very good. Yes.
That was going to be my one question. The other question, have you spoken to the tenants that are presently there and let them know what you're...
I've introduced myself to them, yes, and I've explained to them, yes, what we're going to do. And actually, the home improvement store right next to us, they're actually going to be putting in our carpet because we're going to have carpet in there. So they're actually doing business with the contractors and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Well, at that, then we will close the public hearing at 7:43. And thank you for being here. We will not be able to vote on your SUP this evening, Mr. Cardona, because we have a requirement of 2 readings.
Okay.
So next meeting, which is November 6th, if you could come back, we'll have a final vote.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Moving then to agenda number 8.2, Ms. Pasale, if you'll please read that agenda item.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas, City Council amending general fund of the City of Leon Valley, Texas municipal budget for fiscal year 2018-2019 in the amount of $361,005 to complete funding of the Evers Road Bridge, Hebner Road Sewer Main Extension, and Wurzbach Exchange Parkway Traffic Signal System projects.
Thank you. And good evening again, Melinda.
Good
If
evening,
you'll-
Mayor and City Council. It needs to stop raining now.
Okay. Is it still raining out there? Did you go outside? Is it still raining down?
It's still
Oh,
raining.
it did stop.
It's sprinkling.
Oh, it's sprinkling. It is still raining. Okay. Lots of money tonight for your department. Okay. If you'll begin, thank you.
So this is to consider approving an ordinance authorizing a budget adjustment in the amount of $236,804 to finish our Evers Road Bridge project, $75,801 for the Wurzbach traffic signal replacement, and $48,400 for the Hebner Road sewer main extension. It is a total of $361,005. All 3 projects were begun in 2018, and they were expected to be completed by the end of the year. However, it started raining and never stopped. 2 of these projects are located on water. One of them is in Hebner Creek, and the other one is a tributary of the creek, and it's also a detention pond, and I have to dig through the dead middle of the detention pond. All 3 projects were delayed due to rain, and the funding expires on the end of the fiscal year. The projects are expected to be completed before the end of November, but that should have a comma behind it that says weather permitting.
Okay.
For the Evers Road Bridge, the original contract amount is $2,302,291. We did have some change orders, but they amounted only to $26,683. So that brings our new contract amount to $2,328,974. So far to date, we've paid a little over $2 million. We're still waiting on the September billing. I did get the bill. It's being verified by our engineer. It's just over $30,000 because they couldn't do a lot of work. So the budget adjustment needed for this is going to be around $236,804. Now, this amount is subject to change. We did see some savings on this project, and so they have not tallied up what's the savings versus what's our 26,000 in change orders for it. So I'll give the council a complete update on this project as soon as we get our finalized figures.
And Melinda, will you also, I'm just curious, do we have to go into the reserve fund to cover it, or do we have enough with the grant and our match and all that to cover this?
All the money that was budgeted to our department in the last fiscal year, whatever was left over, and there was a lot left over because we didn't finish the project, that just all goes right back in. And so now I'm just pulling it back out again so that I can finish these up.
Okay, so we're going to stay within budget, but you're saying we might have some savings, so we may even have a net plus.
Yeah, or you'd have that 236 reduced, and then it just sits there and goes
reduced.
right back into the general fund again.
Okay. Very good.
The Heavener Road Sewer Main Extension, the original contract amount's $48,400. We have not started the project, therefore I need $48,400. The contractor that's performing the water and sewer main extension or replacement on Cades Cove is the contractor that we had chosen to do this job. However, he was rained out at Cades Cove, therefore he's rained out plus the detention pond over at this project. He's still not able to start because it's still raining. So I had put here that he was going to be probably done by the end of October, but it just has to stop raining before he can stop. There's no way he can even dig a hole there at all. The Wurzbach Road traffic signal replacement, the original contract amount was $139,000. We've paid $63,206, so I'll need a budget adjustment of $75,801. We've not had any change orders on this project, and the project is complete as of this week. We were supposed to do our final walkthrough on Monday, and it started raining.
Okay. Now, but this actual money is coming from our red light camera money, right? This light? Wurzbach Road traffic signal replacement, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So the total amount for all of these requested adjustments is $361,005.
Okay. All right.
And so we recommend approving the ordinance that authorizes the budget adjustment so that I can eventually get these projects done.
Okay, very good. I just had a general question about the Evers Road Bridge. Since it was opened on August 27th of this year, have we had to close down the bridge at all?
No, ma'am.
That's what I wanted to hear.
We were expecting it to be able to take an up to 3-inch rainfall total before we would have to close it down. It has surpassed what we thought. And now it'll take up to 4 inches before we have to shut it down. The fire department did shut it down one time, but it's because they had PTSD and they thought it was going to go under. And
is that what it was? I had heard that it was brush
and it was
or
less
something.
than an hour.
I'm sorry?
It was less than an hour.
Less than
Just
an hour. I
under
thought it
an
was
hour.
brush or something that had gotten up there that we had to clear
The
off.
construction debris, remember, that was still left there, they
right.
panicked.
Right, okay. All right.
PTSD, Melinda's right.
But basically, we've had 15 inches of rain in September, and we haven't had to.
That thing's a champ.
Wow, that's wonderful.
And the only thing left to do on that bridge is it's supposed to have a limestone rock exterior on both sides, and then the end caps on all 4 sides get a limestone exterior as well. Well, they have to be in the creek in order to put the scaffolding up to be able to put that limestone on. It won't stop raining.
Okay. All right. I had another question, but I've got to look it up in the packet because I can't read my writing. Okay. Counselor Jordan, go ahead.
The Wurzbach stoplight, is it still being worked on? Is it complete?
It's complete. We just haven't been able to do the walkthrough yet. I was hoping that we'd be able to do the walkthrough on Monday, but it poured on Monday.
Okay, one of the issues that we had with that light was that it held forever prior to being replaced, which I said give me plenty of time to do my hair, but it's still, on the way to work, that light is still, the timing is still off. So is there any way we can talk to San Antonio or whoever controls that light? It still holds a long time before.
Absolutely. It's supposed to be traffic actuated. And so one of the things we do through the walkthrough is that would be a punch list item to check the activation, check the pedestrian heads, make sure those are working and audible. All those things are punch lists. So they've stopped working. We just need to get over there. Hopefully I can get over there tomorrow and do the walkthrough if it stops raining.
Okay, great. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Alcacer.
Love a walkthrough on a crosswalk. You're going to walk but I'm going to be comparing it to the one on
Evers.
Hebner and
Hebner,
Evers, because that works super. But I also like the fact that you combined them all. We don't have to have 3 separate ordinances. Good.
Very
A
good.
plus.
Councilor Martinez.
And I was thinking the opposite. They should be 3 separate items instead of one.
It's just how
I
everybody
just
looks
didn't want
at
y'all
it.
to be here all night.
But I just have a question about this money coming from the Economic and Community Development Fund instead of the general fund. I think that money should be reserved for economic development and community development projects that help a business, not for sewer main extensions.
Well, this will actually help that business. It'll help bring a business in, because it's going to help the developer to market his land to be able to bring a business in. One of the things that makes a property appealing to new businesses is the fact that they have reduced costs for infrastructure. Whoever buys that piece of property would have to put in a sewer main extension, will have to put in a water main extension, will have to do site improvements. So this is one less item that they won't have to pay for when they're looking at that property.
Okay, and this is to go from the detention pond by the silos into that front property.
Yes, sir.
Right. Well, I was going to say, just a reminder that we did have a quid pro quo in that he saved the silos.
Right.
And I thought that was that was worth it, to be honest with you. And you're right, it is going to establish some businesses to come in there, so we're helping them in that regard. Councilor Jordan.
Yes, ma'am. I was just going to say my recollection of the tax at the town hall meeting was the desire to split it 50-50, and which would allow us to put new sidewalks and infrastructure, whatever we needed to help enhance the city. So the money was community development as well as economic development. That's my recollection of when it was split out.
That's right. Now I've got my notes here. Why on the Evers Road Bridge, VIA didn't have to pay for the reinforced concrete pads since they're their buses?
No, ma'am. They did pay for the bus pads in the street themselves, but they didn't pay for the shelters.
For the shelters.
Right. We used the money that we were going to save out of the Evers Road Bridge Project Fund to build those bus pads. That was part of the change order.
Okay, and then I thought you mentioned it, but would you explain what install 3x5 angle from angle iron ledger for limestone on bridge?
Yes,
What is
the
that?
limestone that's going on the bridge has to be held up by something.
Okay.
And one of the things that was left out of the plans, which happens, is the actual angle iron that's used to hold those in place.
Okay.
And so for both sides of the bridge, all the way down, the angle iron needs to be put in.
Okay, so that's decorative.
No, it's actual a function of holding up the limestone.
Right, but I mean, the limestone is decorative. That's what I meant. So this has to hold it up, but, okay, and we haven't seen that yet.
Part of it's up. If you go
Okay,
look, you'll see.
yeah, I couldn't, but I have seen it at night now with the lights. It's really cool. I really like it. It's really going to be nice. So now that you're adding the limestone, now I understand. We're going to add this decorative, and that's...
If you'll go on the library side and just kind of look over, they were able to complete about a third of that one side before the torrential downpours.
All right, very good. And then you still have those aprons. There's a few aprons on each side that are not complete yet.
And there's also concrete riprap by the library that's not complete yet as well.
All right, very good. Okay, yes, Councilor Jordan.
Yes, ma'am. Can I make a motion, please? Or
This is our first read, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm anxious.
I know you're anxious, but next meeting, I'll let you make the motion.
Yes,
okay?
ma'am. Thanks.
Unless there's any other questions?
Till then.
Yes, Councilor Edwards has a question. If anybody in our chambers has a question as well.
It's just a comment. We've gotten too much rain, but we're a little bit better off than Llano is. So
this is
true.
true.
Yeah, that's true.
Very
The
true.
bridge
They're
wrecked away
really
this
having a
morning.
hard time, I guess. So,
In Kerrville.
yeah,
Okay.
Thanks.
Very good. Anything else? Anyone else have any questions or comments on the 3 budget adjustments presented this evening? All right. Thank you very much. And we will deal with this on November the 6th. Okay, moving then to agenda number 8.3, discussion and possible action to provide direction to staff on upgrading, installing, and configuring a video conferencing system for the city council chambers to include any upgrades necessary to our system to improve the quality of our meetings. And Crystal, you're here. Caldera, our assistant city manager, is here this evening to present, and welcome.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. And so this item was sent to me by Councilor Martinez and seconded by Dr. Edwards. And basically, I got what he put in the email and put it as the purpose to discuss and provide direction to staff on upgrading, installing, configuring a video conferencing system for the city council chambers to include any upgrades necessary to our system to improve the quality of the meetings. This item, again, was brought forth by Councilor Martinez and Dr. Edwards. So this is kind of a two-part item. We're looking at the upgrades to the council chambers as well as the video conferencing. The upgrades to the council chambers, and Mr. Martinez can correct me, and maybe I made an assumption, but we had discussed that already at a prior council meeting back in March, and council decided to turn that portion down. Now, as far as the video conferencing is concerned, we've never discussed the video conferencing. So I can go over what the original quote was to do the upgrades for the council chambers, and the original cost to do the upgrades, which from the original request back in March, was to move the camera from the wall, to be able to move the cameras as needed, the ability to switch from cameras, the ability to have frontal view for the presenters at the podium, and the ability to switch from video so everybody can see it all the time without disrupting the PowerPoint presentation, was presented at the March 18th council meeting. The scope of the work that was presented to council at the time was quoted by Electrolink at about being $23,000 to do those upgrades. And again, council at the March 20th, 2018 council meeting voted that item down or decided not to move forward with that item. Now, the video conferencing, which I forwarded y'all all the details of that quote, I did not put the detailed item quotes in the council packet because I didn't go out for a formal bid. If y'all want to go out for a formal bid and include the upgrade and the video conferencing, it would exceed $50,000. And so therefore, we would have to go through a formal bid process. If y'all decide to piecemeal this and do just the upgrade, we wouldn't have to. We would have to go for hub vendors only, but there's still a process that's involved. And so I didn't want to release the details of the quote because the people that just gave me basically a quote or a bid could hurt them when they decide to bid the project if that's what council so chooses to do. And so what we saw in ranging for the quotes just to do the video conferencing was Barcom came in the cheapest at $16,000, but it didn't include the software in the original quote. Everybody else's included some form of a software to do the video conferencing. And then all four vendors, in my discussions with them, as well as I so happened to see Mick at a mediation. Skype isn't recommended. He only does one city now, Mick McCamey, and y'all be talking to him this evening. I think he's on one of the agenda items. But he video conferences into the city of Alpine for his council meetings there. He's not required to follow the council rules, like the audience doesn't have to. He can just video conference in. Yes.
Why is he do that?
Because he's an attorney. He doesn't have to go for the same standards as the council. But my reasoning for bringing that up is he video conferences into the city of Alpine, and he also says that their people don't recommend Skype either because it's an unreliable broadband. Because I know that question is going to come up because Skype is a freer service, but unfortunately it just seems that it's unreliable. So a lot of people recommend either GoToMeeting or some other form of software. And so he's like, yeah, we don't use Skype there either. I think they use GoToMeeting in Alpine, in the city of Alpine. But he also doesn't recommend the council there in Alpine to video conference in because of all the requirements that are required to video conference in. But he does say it does happen at times, and he does video conference into Alpine, but he doesn't have to meet those requirements. And so when I got in touch with these vendors, I wanted them to be able to provide the quotes to me and to tell me what was needed. So if you really looked at the detailed quotes, some people had larger screens, some proposed to integrate our Crestron system, some didn't. I wanted them to tell me what we needed to do in order to accomplish the council being able to see them, the audience being able to see them, and the live stream being able to see them. There needs to be visual and audio going both ways. So that's all each of the vendors were told. If council decides that this is something they want to do, then we'll do the specs for the bid, and the bid will go out, and then we'll have vendors bid on the project. And you can give me the specs or the policy that council wants to be able to do that. So if y'all just want to do the minimum requirements of a 32-inch screen, we can put that specifically in the bid. If you want the screens to be what Barcom did that night, which was wires everywhere in the middle, most vendors aren't going to propose that. You know, I think one of the vendors proposed a screen coming from here, not blocking the council. Y'all have one side, they have one side. Audio and visual go both ways. So it's more of a policy decision in a sense if whether or not you want a video conference in. Tonight, we're not here to discuss the details and the pricing of each individual quote. We just kind of want to see if council wants to move on with that technology, if y'all do, and if y'all want to group that with Mr. Martinez's upgrade, then we have to go out for one package, one bid, and it would be a sealed bid because it's over 50,000.
Okay.
If that makes
Very
any
good.
sense.
So, all right. So let me let you all lead the discussion since you've requested this item, Mr. Martinez and Mr. Edwards, Councilor Edwards.
Well, this all started from the fiasco or the disaster we had at the September meeting when Dr. Edwards tried to Skype in.
August 3rd. Or August.
Was it August?
It was August. That was
whatever.
the meeting that I went
That
to.
council meeting where
Yeah,
he tried
it was
to
in
conference
August.
in.
August.
That was a plain disaster. There's a couple of reasons for why it happened is we don't have the bandwidth to really accomplish what the live stream plus a Skype. Right now, I believe we have 12 meg upstream, or right around there. And one thing about the internet speeds, everybody tells you, oh, we're going to give you 50 meg, 100 meg, 200 meg. That's your download speed. Your upload speed is the important thing, and this is where we only have 12 meg. So I don't care if you have 200 meg. If you for video conferencing or even for audio, for telephone conversations, whatever your upload speed, that's your maximum speed, period.
But it also has to apply to the person that's on the other side as well. So if your council person is in a different state or different country, his bandwidth also has to be at a high rate too in order for his upload to come through as well. It can't just be on our end. But I'm just going to mention to you that we're getting fiber currently installed right now, and so that will correct that problem.
That'll fix that problem.
Correct.
That'll fix that problem. But for that, just so people know, for that one night, there would have been a very simple fix. Every one of us has, in our city tablet, we were given a wireless card, or a little black puck, for they're on the AT&T network. So that unit there could have been hooked up wirelessly to the AT&T network for the Skype conversation with Dr. Edwards and left the bandwidth, the city bandwidth alone for the streaming, and that would have solved the problem that night. But I have, thank you, Crystal. She did send all of us these quotes from the different companies, and I did go through them and reviewed them. And the two top companies have the best solution. I don't think the third company really understands the problem, and they don't have the equipment to properly do the project. And the fourth company, they just basically didn't give any kind of a quote. They just said, hey, it's between here and here, and we might be able to do it or not. So I would really like to see a formal bid with the requirements.
To include your upgrade to the council chambers as well?
If
Because
it's,
we wouldn't need
okay,
a formal bid necessarily. If it's under 50,000, we would go out for HUD vendors and the council can make a vote on one of the top 2 companies.
to do this project properly, it will include, or part of this upgrade to maybe video conferencing it has to include upgrading some of our equipment, and that will take care of that. So the 2 top bids are pretty close to what it's going to take to do the complete project.
And just so you know, Barcom would agree with you on the AV, you know. Yeah, I mean, they agree that they weren't, they're not AV people.
Yeah, we're not,
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, you need to come to the podium. It's all recorded. Thank you. And would you please state your name?
My name is Adrian Valdez. I'm with Barcom Technology
Okay.
Solutions.
Thank you, Mr.
How's it going,
Valdez.
Mayor? How's it going, Council?
Good, fine.
Yes, I will say that go-to meeting, we nailed something up pretty much in 2 hours. So that was not indicative of the work that we do. But if anybody ever wants to come and see how we do our work with go-to meeting, we have it set up in our office. We have an office in Austin and also in the Valley. Every day we're utilizing that. I think the biggest issue with the state was we had to stay within a minimum or 32 inches. So that was kind of an issue there that y'all had to abide by. But this, realistically, we put something together. It will work. But my recommendation all along has been, let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's actually integrate what you have with Crestron. Let's keep the speakers intact. So y'all upgrade the back office chassis and everything just is fluid and works together. We can put something up and it will cost that range and it will work perfectly well. But if you want to spend some money and do it right, I would actually go with a provider that knows Crestron and actually integrate that way.
Crestron.
Yeah, that's the actual product that y'all utilize
Okay.
in y'all's AV rack. And instead of utilizing a bolt-on and trying to integrate that way.
This is all Greek to
Yeah.
me.
It doesn't really,
Sorry.
But again, knowing that this was maybe something that wasn't going to be an everyday thing, just on occasion thing, that's why we put something together there. But again, like Benny mentioned, we're not AV guys, we're everything else guys, but AV, we can put that and it will work. But, it's totally up to y'all. I think y'all need to really go with the preliminary findings and actually nail down instead of having a moving target and figure out what you actually want. If it's going to be a 50-inch screen, let's everybody quote out 50-inch. If it's going to be PTZ, pan, tilt, zoom, everybody quotes that at a 4 megapixel or an 8 megapixel.
Apples to apples.
Apples to apples, exactly.
Right.
So, and that's what I have to say there.
Okay. Is go-to meeting the alternative to Skype?
Well, it's a
I don't,
service.
I mean, I just,
Yeah,
because you
that would be
said
the main
somebody
hub.
doesn't recommend Skype, so is that the recommendation then?
Yeah, with go-to
Okay.
meeting, it's reliable. And
It
you can
wasn't,
push-
it wasn't when I was involved in it. It
Yeah.
was not reliable.
Yeah, it's reliable. And
Well,
That was
yes,
Skype.
sir.
That was Skype, Dr. Edwards.
I thought it was GoToMeeting.
Was it GoToMeet?
I thought it was
I
Skype.
thought it was Skype.
And I just want to say thank you because
no problem.
you all were great in trying to help us get Crystal worked for days on that, and I really appreciated you stepping in, Adrian.
If you ask me, I think that was a success because the issue there, the bottleneck was the other council member on the other side.
Yeah.
It was I think it was just the bandwidth issue there. Because y'all don't have symmetrical bandwidth, but you're about to get it with Spectrum, or actually with Spectrum. But y'all do have a high bandwidth on y'all's coax connection, which I believe the upload is in anywhere from like 20 to 50 meg.
So you're saying it was my issue that was the problem?
Yeah, I'm thinking it was probably going to be the
I had an
cellular-
iPad,
but
an iPhone, a laptop. I was told exactly what to do, and I did it.
Yes, but the internet, the ISP that you were utilizing, or if you're using the cellular network, that was going to be probably, I don't know what kind of bars you had or signal. So there's a lot of things that go into effect. But over here, we were up and running. We actually made several test runs. Everything was good.
It didn't work, though. I mean, it kept not working to the point where there was an executive session, and I was not even informed that it was going on, because I was told later on a decision was made that it'd be better proceed without me because the technology didn't allow me to be present in the other room. So there were problems.
Yeah, there were problems. But if you had a hard connection and it was reliable versus going with a wireless scenario, that's very unreliable to carry voice and audio and having two sessions going on at one time.
I was given about a 2-hour time frame to scramble and do that, and I'm a psychologist. I'm not in any of this field.
No problem. Okay. And we had the same amount of time too to make that happen.
Okay.
Right. Any questions?
No, but I think it's the future. I think we need to be on the cutting edge of technology. We need to be able to connect into meetings, not just the council, but we are going to be doing zoning and board of adjustment. So we need to have that ability for people to, if they can't be there, they can be available by video conferencing. So I personally would like to take the next step and go get the bids or whatever. Again, I'm not the technology. I don't understand it, but whatever needs to happen, let's see about addressing it and seeing how much it costs and then go from there. That's what I'd like to say.
Yes, ma'am. And we're happy to vet any of these vendors and be with y'all on y'all's side. So it was just something that we put together for y'all.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here because we were at the very end of the meeting and I was wondering, who are those people over there? They're so nice. They're sitting there and interacting, and so thank you for being here. Yes.
I would like to let staff know that I would be willing to work with them and develop an RFP or the qualifications that we send out to the different companies. I am very familiar with video conferencing. I installed a bunch of units in the past for schools for distance learning. So I do know the technology. I do know what it takes to make it work. And, I do know networking, and that's what I do for a living. So I'd be willing to help staff generate the requirements to move forward. And I believe that if we set this up properly to make the video conferencing work properly, some of these upgrades to our video system will be a natural part of that upgrade. So it's not going to be something that we have to spend a pot of money over here to upgrade the council chambers to the video, and then come over here and spend another pot of money to do the video conferencing. I think we can mix them in, and because, part of it has to be done on the upgrade of the video to make the video conferencing work.
So Mayor, Councilor Martinez, first of all, I really appreciate that. I just would have two comments on that. Number one, I would like to seek legal counsel on whether or not a councilor should be involved in writing an RFP, and then whether or not you should then vote on it. But then second of all, the council turned at least half of this down in April, and so before we would go out and write an RFP, we would need direction from you. That's why it wasn't put in, this was not put in the budget, because you turned it down in April. So if you want it now, that's fine, but we just need your direction on what to do.
I meant to try
I
to go.
can't write an RFP if I don't have a vote of the council that says this is what they want. So I guess I would just need both of those things.
I meant to go back and look at the minutes, and but I didn't
Crystal
have time.
summarized them in her.
Yeah, I know, but that was March. I can't remember.
Well, one
what
thing
the
I
date
can
was.
guarantee, if this does make it to an RFP, my company would not be a bidder. I will completely stay, even though legally I could. I promise that I will not.
Oh, sure. I'm just concerned about any other company you're involved with, and whether or not
I
if
don't
you
have
write
any
the
conversation-
RFP, whether or not you should vote on it. So I'd just like to get a legal opinion.
I don't have any associations with other companies other than I go to different trade events and stuff, and I see the different companies. A lot of the carriers, like Spectrum, has events at Topgolf, and they will have they will invite companies like myself there. And I do talk with the owners, and I know quite a few of the owners of the different companies around town. But
Well, for instance, like on this one, you were speaking with ArtCom, and so that would be my concern, is just to make sure that you were safe and that you didn't either. I just would want, I want legal.
I won't vote on staff is going to do the judging for
Right.
and coming down with the one or two top companies, and then they'll present their findings to City Council. So I won't have any part of that. I'm just going to be a yes or no
Yeah,
vote.
maybe you can have a part of all of it. I don't know, but I would like to get legal counsel on that.
I guess I don't see you writing the RFP, maybe reviewing it and giving input, but not writing it. I mean, I don't think that's.
Give some of the technical advice
but
on
review it.
on
Yeah,
some of
review
the
it,
parts.
'cause I don't know the
piece
technical
parts.
at
That's
all.
it.
And I
I'm
mean-
not going to write the RFP.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. I didn't think.
No,
I didn't think that
I'm
would
not-
be appropriate.
No, you just said you would help develop the RFP. So
I would help develop the
Right.
requirements, the technical requirements
Mhm.
for this project.
Right.
That's
Okay.
it.
Yes, sir. Councilor Jordan.
Well, I think first of all, we need to determine whether we're going to do it or not as a city council as a whole, number one. And number two, I don't think, if you're having communication with ARCOM or directly, probably in relation to this topic, then to me, with the recommendation that you made, that we kind of consider the top two companies, I just shouldn't be in the weeds that much, honestly, I don't think, with this whole thing. So, just like the gentleman from Barcom said, if we're going to do an apples to apples comparison, I don't think we have a good write-up of what we're looking for to even, approve something to go forward. But I'd like to hear the opinion of the other counselors before we even discuss that, whether we want to go forward now with a complete package. This came before us 6 months ago, the same issue, and now we're back again. So I'd like to hear the opinion of the other counselors.
Half of the issue, not the full issue, but half the issue.
Right, but say with the recommendation that we go ahead and do the first issue, since it's going to be an update, to have the complete package. So it's the same, in my mind, it's the same topic.
Okay.
Obviously, this is going to keep coming up. I just happen to get embroiled in it and excluded from part of the city council process. But it's going to keep coming up. I mean, video medicine, video city council meetings. This is going to keep happening, so we need to resolve it. So that people who can't be present, I mean, it was me, but it could have been any of us. And, like David, if you were unavailable, you'd probably like to have the option of Skyping or FaceTime or whatever the technology is called in. So I think we're going to have to resolve it. I don't know anything about the technology of it. I'm just a psychologist. And, but I know I was prevented from participating because of the technological issues. And so I think it should be resolved. And however the fashion is, it needs to be employed to resolve it, because it's going to keep happening, unless we just say we're never going to do any of this ever again. And one of the other issues is that I don't think it was really clear what the requirements of this new statute or ordinance or whatever the technical term for it is, because one summary I received said that I didn't even have to be depicted or on video except when I was reacting to something. But then I was told, well, maybe that's not true, so I don't really know what the requirements of the statute are or ordinance or whatever it is.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Rodriguez.
I am very technologically unsavvy. I'll be honest.
I am right with you.
So I appreciate Barcom explaining, what they feel that we need. I would like to see us, like Dr. Edwards says, we are headed in that direction where we're going to have to need some type of video conferencing. I would like to see something, I guess, like a whole entire package of what we really need and why, and what benefit it's going to be for us as a city if we're going to put out X amount of dollars. Is what the product we're going to get or the services we're going to get worth what we're going to pay for? And how effective it's going to be for one of us in the event that we're not here or it has to be done, by another manner. So that's just my thought on that.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate that. Councilor Alcacer?
I have a lot of opinions. The first is a clarification. Councilor Edwards, you weren't excluded because of that. You were excluded because of time constraints at that meeting. And the mayor is very concerned when the time runs over and backs up. And so when it got past, we were supposed to have the meeting, and we were already running 10 or 20 minutes late. It was her decision, agreed to by us, to begin the other meeting so that the regular meeting wouldn't start too late. And that's a significant difference. It had nothing to do with where or when you were. My next...
Excuse me.
Can I finish?
Was the mayor even present?
No, I wasn't here. That was the meeting that you ran.
Then I made a decision based on the same thing. Sorry.
That was the only meeting I've missed in a long, 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 long,
Just
long
one
time.
question. Should I have been informed that there was an executive session?
You knew it by the agenda.
I did not know that you had gone into the room and proceeded without me.
Well, you were told from the way it could be told anyway.
So I couldn't be told verbally?
The executive session was actually announced at 5:30, and then the council moved into the large conference room. The problem is Barcom and Crystal had all the equipment set up in here. We couldn't move it in there and then get it moved back out here in time. So it wasn't possible. And unfortunately, I will tell you, this new rule just went into effect last November or so, sometime last year. And I was sitting in Austin with a team of city managers, and they're not small cities, the city manager from Fort Worth, the city manager from Austin. Crystal's actually the one who discovered this this law. So I thought she was wrong and asked the city managers, hey guys, anybody heard of this? Nobody had heard of it. So we all sat there and started looking it up, and everybody went, uh-oh. So Leon Valley is not going to be the first to experience this. I promise you that. Because she surprised me when she called me. I thought, what is she reading?
Would have been way easier for me that night to put my phone up there with your face.
It really
it would have saved me a whole lot of stress. It's not like I did it on purpose to exclude you from the meeting.
Well, it's also because it was such a sudden change, and we had in the prior years been able just to put the cell phone right there.
Correct.
We were legal, and everybody could hear and see. So it was just unfortunate. So.
Yeah. I mean, we were going back and forth with somebody from over there originally, like on Thursday, and we're like, we're not going to be able to make this happen because we only issue you a Surface. I didn't know you had an iPhone or an iPad if we were going to be able to pull that off. I can't. And then I sent them the requirement. So we had been talking Thursday, Friday, and then Monday came rolling around, and I'm like, okay, can this even be accomplished? And it was like, do you have an iPhone and an iPad? Yeah. Then that kind of, had you not had those items, that would not have happened. You would not have been here.
You really scrambled, and you guys did a good job of trying to make it happen. It's just the point is that something has to be resolved for, future situations.
Right.
I appreciate your efforts.
Okay, were you finished with your comments?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Okay, here she goes.
The next point I had is following up with Councilor Jordan. We set aside one thing and requested at least a year to try out the system. We're halfway into that, and I think that why it came back up at this point,
Excuse me, would you explain that again? We set aside what?
The first request.
Okay.
For last March, 7 months ago.
And we said we were going to wait a year?
We were going to look at it, let's watch this a year. That was, if you go back to the conversation, look at a year to test the system because we were brand new into the system.
Right.
We didn't even, at that time, we were about 3 months into the system.
Okay. But we didn't know about the November change in the law, right? And we didn't have this experience
Well, that's
on
all
August the
correct,
6th.
but
So those are extenuating circumstances that changed.
May I talk?
So yes, you may. I just wanted to throw that in.
3.5 years I've been on council. We have had one request in that time for all those on vacation. Even you didn't request to be in on it. I don't think one request in 3.5 years is worth $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. I also support Skype. I was doing Skype in 1998 from Africa, constantly. From about 2000 to 2010, we Skyped numerous times to South America and to Europe. The past couple of months, since my granddaughter has been in Spain, we have Skyped 3 and 4 times a week. Skype works as well or better than any of these things and is free, basically, with getting the other things. We should try it, not just say, oh, it won't work. We should try it.
And that's only one component, though. I mean, that's just the software, and the software, as far as cost is concerned, is minimal. I mean, you could choose
to use it.
Yes, I mean, even the GoToMeeting, I think the full year was like $300. I mean, I was like, the cost. I mean, you could go with the free service, but the cost in comparison to the amounts that were up there for the software is minimal. So if we went with the free service and tried it, we could definitely do that.
I should correct. Skype to Skype is free, but if you don't have the Skype, you have the other fees, which are not expensive. But you carry it. It's a matter of need. We have so many other needs that we talk about to use it. This isn't a need that we have presently. I don't know how many more vacations, and I don't know how many. I mean, I personally don't. When I go on vacation, I don't want to do this. I even asked the mayor at that time, do you want to be Skype, for lack of a better word, in at these meetings? No, I was up trying to enjoy camping and walking and things like that. And that's what a vacation's about. And why this particular meeting that it happened, I have no clue, but we didn't have advance notice. Yes, I think over time something could be done, but we're not a large city. We're not into spending this kind of money for all of, I'm probably in the mid-range. I'm not ignorant, but I'm not totally tech savvy. But I do know that technology changes constantly. And so you go from one thing to another, and then you're constantly having to spend more money. So let's just do with what we have and have tests with suggestions like even Barcom made. The attorney we have tonight suggested there isn't a need, and I don't think there's a need. And if you average it out to what you spend for what is out there, and how many people are...
What attorney?
Oh, I think you were saying Mr. McCain.
Right. I was just because
I
met with him.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Which attorney?
He does.
But that's the
I
only
was
thing
just
I could
trying to say,
of.
like, there are other cities, and he doesn't have to meet the requirements, and he doesn't necessarily recommend his council to video conference in, unless I guess absolutely necessary. But we just had a brief conversation about it. But I wanted y'all to know about the Skype component to that conversation.
I was just following up from yours, but
okay.
Yes, an attorney's opinion doesn't necessarily matter, but mine matters. I'm not here as an attorney. So it's not something that I don't want, it's just something that I don't think we need at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your opinion. Anybody else? Yes, and then I'd like to hear from our citizens as well. Let's see, Councilor Jordan, do you want to go next? Go ahead, and then Councilor Martinez.
Sure. I'm not 100% completely opposed to this upgrade at some point, because I do work out of town and might need to use it one of these days. However, my concern is we have to be careful as city council people and make sure that we're not in direct contact with some of the people that's potentially working on this project or bidding on this project. The complete hands-off approach needs to be taken, and to make sure that the process is done the correct way. That's what I want on the record. So if you have direct contact with one of these vendors going back and forth, then that's what I have a problem with.
Sure, I understand, but
Thank
I
you.
heard Ms. Kinsler say she would be running it by a counselor, by the legal team. So I think I agree with you. We need to keep it all legal, and whatever Mr. Martinez can and can't do, I think we need to abide by that. And I agree with you, Counselor Jordan. I think that's required. Yes, Counselor
And
Martinez.
just so public record, I have no problems with any of that. And just to address.
Even if the legal team came back and said, Mr. Martinez, you're not able to.
Step out,
Yes.
do not do anything.
Right.
I
There you
will
go.
step out.
Okay, that's all I'm saying. Yeah, let's make sure it's.
One thing to address Councilman or Councilwoman Alcazar, Skype is a free service, and it is fantastic for people like you and your daughter, families. Hey, I'm in Europe. Look at the Eiffel Tower. It's fantastic for that stuff. It's free, but for business, it's really not conducive for business applications. Just like another example is Google Voice. Anybody can get a Google Voice number and plug in a phone at home and have free phone calls. But it's good for your home. But if you're trying to run a business with that, it's not going to work. It'll kind of work, but it's not going to really work. That's all the comments I have about those two. Yes, it will work, but it will not work reliably for what we want to do. And one of the things we have to look at, another thing here, is Leon Valley has been a leader in a lot of different topics, from the fire department to the police department to public works. There's been a lot of things that Leon Valley has been the first suburban city to do. Let's take the lead on this. Let's have the best product that we can have, and really have something that the other cities are going to look at our videos and say, hey, man, we need to upgrade and we need to be just like Leon Valley. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Chief, you're standing up. It seems like that body language is telling me you want to say something.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
I want
go ahead.
First of all, I don't care either way.
Okay.
Mayor and council. So I'm neutral on that. But I did want to say, just for Dr. Edwards, in the military, I traveled across the world, and I would often Skype back or go meetings with my work from all over the world. And it was very different depending on the country you were in, as far as the infrastructure of that country. So if they have wireless, what kind of wireless? Some countries are running on 2G while we're running on 4G. And even within that country, depending on where you were at, if you were in Buenos Aires in Argentina versus Morales in Argentina, big difference. And so don't know where you were, Doc, but I can tell you.
Mazatlan, Mexico.
And I don't know what their infrastructure is, but I can tell you, even going to Europe, I could stand on the streets in Italy because of their infrastructure and show my entire family, the area, versus going into South America, where I've tried to do that and it didn't work regardless, with the same technology, same phone, everything. So when you're talking about these types of technology, it's not just what we do here, it's where we're at also that's important, because I've been in Africa in some places in the middle of Serengeti where I was able to Skype back and show giraffes and everything but they had the technology set up for that that game ranch or whatever it's called. So it really just depends. When you're out of the country, especially out of the country, it depends on the technology where you're at. So, and that could have been the other part of the problem. And I think that's what they were trying to explain as well. So I just want to put it in a different way. You know, it might not have been for that issue. I don't care regardless. For that issue that day, it could have just as well have been where you were at versus, you know, the stuff here.
Okay. Thank you for those comments. Do appreciate it. All right. Anyone else in our chambers that would like to weigh in on this issue? Ms. Joseph, good evening and welcome. That's okay. That's why you're here.
Just from perspective of sitting out here in the audience, I think we should go and investigate with apples to apples, the best that we can, with everything matching. It sounds like that we're trying to match this with something else, and it's just, I think the way technology is going, that you've got to have matching, or I think technology has gotten away from, just like cars, you used to be able to interchange anything. I don't think you can do that with technology now. I may be wrong, but from what little bit I have, you can't do that. So I think we ought to be all integrated into the same. And if we can step out of the box, then great, I think, but whatever's going to work for us.
Okay. Very good. Thank you for those comments. Do appreciate it. All right. Anyone else? Yes. Mr. Prophet, good evening and welcome back.
I want to commend Crystal on the way she did this, the approach, because there was nothing binding. It was general information gathering, fact-finding stuff. In my opinion, this is not hard. This is not hard technology. But the bid process has to be pure. And I think personally, the perception of not doing it right is as bad as not doing it right. So I would recommend, even though the expertise may be in the room, that I would encourage council members not to participate in that, advising. However, I find it incumbent on staff to find an organization that can consult, because you...
They're right, sitting right there.
Right.
Yeah, so that way I can be...
Okay, I wasn't clear on that. I was not clear on that. The slide is not clear on that.
Yeah.
Right. It looked like a bid.
That's
yeah.
who you've chosen. That's who you've chosen to consult with as the staff and city. Then it's your choice how much further to go beyond that. But certainly anyone that's going to bid is not someone you want to consult with. Nor do I believe it is a good idea for anyone on the council to participate in that, as well as from a design standpoint, certainly. And you've done everything right so far. So I would just say, try to stick to it, pick them both, bid them both. If you don't issue both, fine. But get it out there again. I'm sorry it's 6 months, but we are, to my mind, for the money to be spent, we are way behind the curve. And if there's anything in the new law that says we should be doing this, then we need to thoroughly vet that. If everybody believes we're not, compelled to do that, then that's another approach. But I think we need to decide if we're compelled to do this or not. And not only that, is it the right thing to do? So.
All right. Thank you very much for those comments. Do appreciate it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make it clear, Barcom isn't bidding on the project. The reason that their numbers were included was because I had no idea how much, we were told that this could be relatively free. Like this whole system, like it was only going to be a minimal cost. I think I even talked to you one day and I was like, it's probably going to be like maybe $2,000 or $3,000 just the cost of the screens. I had no concept of what this was actually going to cost. And so that's why I went to Barcom to ask them to just give me a number on and when I saw 16,000, I thought that's really high. Let me just call a couple other companies. And that's how I got other companies involved and really realized if we're going to do this right and do an integration with our current system, that it's going to be more costly than relatively free, I think is one of the emails that I got. So.
Okay. Very good.
Can I make one
Yes.
more comment? I don't want to drag this out forever.
Mhm.
But let's say, for instance, that the city needed some psychological services.
Mhm.
And I just happen to be a psychologist, PhD licensed psychologist, state of Texas. And, you know, there's some kind of issue maybe with the fire department or with city staff, or some reason you need psychologists. And it seems strange that I couldn't even provide a suggestion, you know, of what would be appropriate without there being some kind of implication that that would be untoward. You know, if I said, well, you know, you need to do this test, this test, this test, and these are the people who have the tests, but I wouldn't benefit in any way. I'm just trying to give my opinion. And that's kind of the situation Mr. Martinez is in, where he's, you know, an expert in this field as far as I know. I mean, I know nothing really. So he sounds like he knows a lot. I think he does. So I just don't understand why he can't give an opinion that might be just looked at.
I think the request, his proposal was a little bit deeper than an opinion, what he proposed to the staff. So, you know, I understand we have basic knowledge of our field, and I appreciate that. But as far as giving the RFP and getting involved with the staff and all that, that's, to me, is not appropriate.
Plus, at a recent meeting, he specifically mentioned that he had thought ArtCom could come in and do a much better job. I mean, he even referred to the company, and that's what startled me when tonight again he's saying ArtCom, or whatever they were in the second one, could definitely do a better job, and the bottom two were useless. I mean, that is not an opinion that is welcome when we're doing this type of thing, I think.
Okay, Mr. Martinez.
I asked Crystal to give us the bids, for lack of a better word, or the quotes. And I did review them. I went over them, each one. I read every one of them, and I understand the technology behind each one. That's where I based my decision on. Nothing else other than the actual meat of those two quotes. I reviewed them, and I made my suggestion based on reviewing what they submitted, nothing else.
Well, I think we all got the quotes, didn't we not? So we all got to review them.
I just didn't want to put
I
them
just
in the
didn't
packet.
understand it. I'm sorry. So I can't intelligently give an opinion one way or the other. So that is your expertise. So I understand that. Okay, Mr. Prophet, unless you had something else, Ms. Caldera. Yes.
To clarify, back to Dr. Edwards' statement, yes, there's nothing wrong with saying that. The attempt to influence the bid or to intentionally drive the bid to a vendor is wrong.
Right.
What Benny did is not wrong.
Right.
He's offering an opinion on something that was submitted. It's unofficial. He looked at the data. He said, I don't believe those two at the bottom are qualified to do this. And it could have been that they weren't totally informed because there is no spec. So you're not talking apples and apples right now. But he's entitled to that opinion based on the data he was given. That's all it is. He's not saying, I'm going to go in and rewrite the proposal or write a proposal that affects the goodness of ArtCom. That's not going to do that. He knows better than that. He's going to assist if asked. That is totally dependent on the staff. If the staff were to have bid the consultation and he wanted to bid on the consult, then he would recuse himself from any voting because he took a part in that. And he's going to influence the decision of the staff, and he's going to pick data off vendors he perhaps would like to have, either through prior experience or because of an incomplete package in the case of both of the lower vendors. So, apples to apples, got to have it. People can, as staff, go to whomever they want. They choose to get information. It is logical that the staff could make an inquiry of a council member, and the council member can comment back. I wouldn't recommend it, but it can be done. He's not influencing the bid other than to answer a question. And that's a strategic answer, not a tactical answer. So, you know, if Barcom's the guy to go to, great. Just make that, draw the line, ask for opinions if you want, but you got to go with the consultant. And if that's not good enough, find another one.
Okay.
But just as a matter of fact, it did happen that it was at the meeting that it specifically said, well, I could go and, Artcom and I could work together and we'll come up with a much better product at a much lower price. So that actually happened. That was not something that's out of the question.
Mm-hmm.
They could do that with anybody. He could have just as easily said the $42,000 bill.
Yes. Okay. And Mr. Vasquez, you have another comment?
Wanted to let everybody know
Yes.
that we can definitely help out on this. We take care of City of Live Oak for 8 years, City of Universal City, we are the company. We take care of Balcones Heights, Castle Hills, Universal City, Livonia, Harlingen. So in the local municipal space, this is our playing field. I was at TML with y'all, so we make a major investment in doing that every single year. So when it comes to this line of work and understanding what y'all do, this is what we do. Just want to make that clear. Yes.
Can I ask you a question? When did Skype was it first available to to be used?
Skype was one of the first ones. Okay, but I'm not an expert in that. But Skype was definitely one of the first ones.
I think you said 1998 or something.
1998. I know he's questioning
started growing
that.
legs and it started going from there.
I believe it was 2003.
Okay. All right. Good. That's great. Thank you.
It was before 2003 because I was Skyping out from the desert in Iraq before 2003, so it was before then.
Okay.
And it's very dependable unless you have a windstorm.
Right.
Sandstorm, yeah.
Okay. So
I'd like to table this to a date uncertain till we get more information, and I so move.
What information is that?
As to what we really need and not what we think we need.
Well, but that's what they need.
That's
They
what
need
I need.
directions.
I need
Yeah.
direction, and that's why the item is
Tabling
presented as
is-
such.
We're just kicking the can down the road. Let's give them direction, is what I would say.
That's I was just
Yeah,
going to
I agree.
ask, could the staff just get directions? Number one, do you want us to pursue the video conferencing element A? And then B, do you want us to pursue, because this is really two things. It's also the cameras and the speakers and the, that upgrade that you turned down in the
You
spring.
said March, yeah.
March.
Okay,
So
here's my question.
we need to know about both.
Are the two interrelated?
So
Can
some
we
of
do
it-
one without the other?
So some of it
Can we
is
have
as far
two
as the
different bids?
the microphone is like microphone and audio. We have to look at the equipment on the user that's going to be on the other side. So my direction that I need in order to write the specs to go out is, do you want to go above and beyond on the screen size? Because we're looking at minimum standard size is 32 inches, which worked up here, but one of the proposals is to put a screen back there. 32 inches you wouldn't be able to see that from the live stream. That's one of the legal requirements. You have to be able to see the person speaking and talking, and it needs to go both ways. One of the proposals is to hang the monitor here. If council wants to be able to do that, do you want it to integrate with our current system, or do you want it as a bolt-in add-on, which would probably be a little bit cheaper? I don't recommend that. We had that problem in the old city hall where we had piecemealed, and by the end of it, vendors didn't know what went to what, and so I would probably recommend that we integrate with our current system if this is something council wants to do, but it's going to be in the $40,000. I mean, it's going to be in the $40,000 range because Crestron is a high-end system, and that's reflective in the bid process. So I just need direction as to how to write the specs if council wants to do that.
If you want to do it.
Okay, so do we need to have a vote on if we want to do it?
You need to have, do you want to do
That what
part
we
of
need to
it? Do
do
you want to do
first?
all of it? Do you not want to do it at all? We just don't have direction.
I understand. Well, did I get my answer, to get the question answered? Can we do the video conferencing alone without the upgrade?
You can.
To where people can just
You can.
phone-
I mean, we did it that night. I mean, so there's a
Okay.
solution
I mean,
to it. Yes.
I don't know.
But I mean, Mr. Martinez is correct in saying, in looking at the proposals, I mean, you're probably gonna have to do it makes sense to do both because
Okay.
eventually, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense to
Can
bid.
we get 2 different bids?
So
One
it's
just
not
video
necessarily 2
conferencing,
bids.
one-
What you would do is you would break it down, and then council, you could basically say, oh, we just want to do this,
All right.
you know what I mean? It would be one bid, but you would
Okay.
say, you know, I don't want can we not do the microphones or, you know.
Sure, I understand. Okay.
Versus like the full package.
Correct, and that's how you would, and I mean, Barcom can jump in, but that's how I would recommend, is breaking it down, like video conferencing, screen, microphone upgrade, Crestron software, I mean, you would put that all in
So
the
it would
actual
be
specs.
itemized?
Correct.
Okay, very good. Yes, Mr. Martinez.
In reviewing the 2 bids, they are upgrading our present system to accommodate the video conferencing system. Tonight, everybody in this room has noticed one issue we have with this room. When the chief made the presentation, it was like that.
Oh,
sorry to wake everybody up, but it was like this. Some people, when they came up to the mic, it was like this. You know, I talk about here. So one of the things that's desperately needed is a limiter or an AGC system on the audio, and that is one of the things that's going to have to be upgraded, so that kind of issue will not happen in the future.
So is that like a regulator on the volume?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Just think of, it's like having a little man back there that's constantly adjusting the volume. So if I'm talking like this, he's going to turn the volume down. And when I'm talking like this, he's going to turn the volume up. So every time it's going to be about this level.
Okay.
So that is part of the upgrade. So, you know, I keep on saying the video conferencing upgrade will upgrade because it's going to have to upgrade some of the video.
Okay, I got you. Okay, thank you. That makes a little bit more sense. Okay, so what's the direction
Mayor?
to the council? Oh, who said
Excuse
mayor?
me,
Oh,
Mayor
yes.
and Council, if I could remind you, you do have a motion on the table already.
To table. Okay,
Right.
do I have a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion to table by Ms. Alcacer and a second by Councilor Jordan. Could we have a roll call vote, please? Ms. Posley.
Dr. Edwards?
No on table.
Dr. Rodriguez?
Yes, on tabling.
Councilor Alcacer?
Yes.
Councilor Martinez?
No.
And Councilor Jordan?
Yes.
Okay, is that to a date certain? We don't know. We don't know what the tabling means, so I don't, at least I don't.
It was tabled, the motion was to table until more information could be provided.
Okay, so can we get the more information at the next meeting?
No, we don't want to go through this. I'm sorry, Mayor.
Well, when can we get the next, when can we get the next information?
We are here not knowing what we want or what is needed. So we need something to start with, and it would help with the IT people going with what the newly required law is and seeing what could be done. I mean, to look at paying $30,000-$40,000 for one person wanting to do it from their vacation once a year is just not cost effective.
That's pretty insulting.
No, I don't mean just you. I wasn't even talking. I just said, I don't want to do it when I'm on vacation. So if you might not even have any. Sometimes you're on vacation and you don't want to do it. I mean, if we don't have a
That's okay,
need.
please.
So let's find out what would be good. We can't, if listening to us for an hour and a half, we don't really know what we want or need. Nobody does. And that's what I'd like to, using these things that we do have, take some guidance from that, from what the law is, and then what is needed for a basic, medium, higher level, whether they really need to be together.
Yes,
I
could
got
you?
this. I got this. Oh, okay.
I was going to ask you if you could give us a timeline on what you think you could
We
do.
can have about 2 weeks. We'll work with her directly, and we'll have vendors come to the table, and we'll be on y'all's side, and we'll make sure that y'all have the proper apples-to-apples proposal.
Okay.
I think that would be the best move.
All right. I
And
know
that
you
would
weren't
be-
wanting it in 2 weeks, but,
Well, it's-
I mean,
it's
to
2
me,
weeks. If you give us a little buffer.
sure, sure,
it
two
could
two
be
to 4 weeks, sure.
So y'all make those decisions on that.
All right, thank you.
I just
Thank you
wanna
so
be
much, Mr. Vasquez.
realistic with everything on the next agenda and stuff. I'd really prefer like the first meeting in December.
Okay.
If that would be conducive to council, give me time to work with them. I still need clarification. I mean, I need to know whether or not you want one council member to be able to Skype in. Like if we have 3 council members out, do you want all 3 to be able to Skype in? Do you want, I mean, so I need clarification. Or you want the screen here? I don't want to put the screen here and y'all don't want it there and y'all want 32. Do you want me to go to 55? So I still need direction, and the motion was to table it. So I need either.
Till you could get further information. So we need to know what do you want? Because at first you didn't want anything, and now we want monitors and speakers, and so, and also, who do you want to be able to Skype in addition to, whether it be a couple of counselors? Would you like, an expert witness instead of to be able to Skype in? Would you like Mr. Bernal to be able to Skype in instead of having him sit there right now? We don't know any of those. So it's
And
hard to
then,
give you.
Do you want me to integrate the conference room to be able to allow Skyping in the conference room?
Correct.
I mean, I just need direction on what you want.
Because of what happened to you in executive session.
Yes, Mr.
So the
Clark.
requirements for executive session are a little bit different as far as the monitor sizing and stuff. I mean, again, there's not an attorney here. I'm not trying to speak for Denise or trying to give a legal opinion, but the requirements for executive session and Pat, for executive session as far as the screen size, I think is different than what it is for the general public. And so, but I just need direction from the council as to how y'all want to proceed. If you want more information, what is that information that you want?
Gotcha. I'd say all of the above, but anyway, I don't know. Mr. Martinez?
We already have a basis. Yeah. We have 2 quotes from 2 different companies that form the basis of what is needed. Crystal just gave them a general idea of the requirements. They came up with the equipment and the piece parts to make it happen. So we already have that basis for comparison. And as for the conference room, we have a projector there. Once we have a switcher, it's a piece of cake to switch the video from these monitors in here into the conference room so we can see the person on the remote side. We would just need 1 camera in there to be able to switch that so they could see us, and it's a done deal. The conference room will be a very, very simple fix.
Mayor, Councilor Martinez, I don't think you understand the position you're putting the staff in. First, we're told in March, no speakers, no extra monitors, no anything, so we proceed, we go through the budget year. Now all of a sudden, we're wanting to put cameras and speakers and a volume control man and do it in both rooms, but we don't have a consensus on that.
Did you read the quotes? Did you read the quotes?
The quotes were, you asked me to get quotes. You asked, so Crystal did it for me.
You read the quotes?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. One of them is a speaker array.
The part I could understand.
A microphone array. They're all the technical issues are in the 2 quotes.
But the point, Councilor Martinez, is you're putting staff in an odd predicament because the council as a whole has not told us what to do yet. One counselor is telling us what you want.
I didn't give Crystal any direction.
Right, but you're giving direction right now on where speakers and where things should go.
No, I haven't said anything like that. I just said it's very, very simple. To add for the conference room, it's a very minor change. We have a projector. The video can be projected, the remote video can be projected on there. And if we add a camera and some microphones in there, it'd be an easy switch to move the video conferencing into the conference room.
But again, we need to take direction from the council as a whole, and that's where we're stuck.
There was a
Madam Mayor.
question was brought up, what would it take to do the conference room? And it's a very minor issue.
Okay, I was going to just say, Mr. Vasquez just said he'd worked with Crystal to
Yeah.
come up with something. Can we start there?
Yes.
Absolutely. That's the reason I voted to table this item. It's pretty obvious that, you know, we don't have a design. We may have the pieces and the equipment. We don't have the design of how we as a whole would like to have the system set up and so forth. So we have a professional here that we've already hired and who's given us
Right. I agree
good
with
guidance
you.
already to
And-
do this.
Yes,
So
sir.
if that's the general consensus of the council is to have them come up with where y'all want everything, then that's fine too. I just need to know that that's
And
what it is.
can I ask you, Mr. Vasquez, if you'll come to the podium? You just went through all of the cities that y'all represent. Does any of those cities have video conferencing right now?
No. No.
So this is new, cutting edge. Okay. All right.
You know,
Excuse me. Okay.
yeah, there is streaming, of course.
Okay.
That's going on.
Sure, we're all streaming,
But I
yeah.
will say, I did ask the same question
Mhm.
as Kelly did,
Mhm.
and for sure, I don't know where she got that from, but nobody knows about that. So that little stipulation, that law, the ruling and everything like that. So how large you have to have your TVs, and who needs to see who, and all that kind of. If it was just FaceTiming and that kind of thing,
Sure.
it's just so easy.
Okay,
to do
so
that.
you'll take the law and then you'll take,
Yeah,
see
but
if you
the
can come up with
responsibility, we can work with these vendors because this Crestron equipment that you have is very extensive. I mean, it's very expensive, and you need really a Crestron dealer coming out here knowing that equipment to integrate with your speakers and stuff, because you don't want to put new speakers, you want it to integrate with what you have.
Sure.
You know, so
Okay.
again, the
Say,
bolt-on
yeah.
idea, I think you do not want to go there. So,
Sure.
but
And-
we'll work with Crystal, and then we'll get the
Okay.
vendors in place. We are forfeiting, we're not even going there, but we'll help y'all. That's what
Okay.
we're
Is
an
that
army.
acceptable to all of the counselors then?
Acceptable to me.
I mean, as far as the
Yes.
general consensus, okay, around the first meeting in December, is that reasonable?
If I can get it prior to, I will, I'll request
But
it.
no, that's okay, give y'all enough time, because I didn't realize that there was not one city that has done this yet, so, okay.
With that-
Thank you.
I'd like to just clarify. First of all, I want to compliment Crystal because she did the same thing that you all did. She went to a TML class and learned it there. That's how she figured it out. So when she called me, she knew, and I had not been to that class, so I didn't know, nor had any of the managers in my room. But second of all, just want to make sure so that our agenda item is correct. We already are contracted with Barcom, so it makes sense to go to our contractor that we use for our IT and do this. So I'm certainly on board there. But what we're going to do is we're going to come back with a proposal for something, whatever they come up with, that would actually allow us to do video conferencing. And then based on the proposal and the specs and the amount, you all will decide whether or not you even want video conferencing. That's what my understanding of the December agenda item is. Am I correct?
More or
Well,
less.
Well, but I guess I heard that we could pick and choose
Yeah, I
what
think
we
that would be
wanted.
good, but the logistics of
right?
where screens are
Oh,
going
okay.
and that kind of thing,
Okay.
we don't want that to come back on us to say, hey, I wanted it here, and
Oh.
we're gonna have like a general, everybody's gonna agree.
I'm gonna
where locations are
trust the
going.
experts on
But,
that.
but as far
I
as
don't- you know,
apples
it
to
doesn't
apples,
matter to
the
me.
design.
I just want
it's
it to
gonna-
work.
It's gonna be the same.
Okay.
And we'll
Yeah,
make
I
sure
think,
of
I
that.
think we just have to trust your expertise and not micromanage it and just, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I just want it to work, and I want to be sure everybody can hear and see and, you know, the whole,
gonna
and,
be
and,
here,
and,
and
and
Chris-
abide by the law. That was the other
Crystal's
thing.
gonna say, this is what I envision, and we're gonna be here to
Sure.
make sure the
Okay.
design is
I mean,
the same.
you've got a good grasp
Yeah.
of it, right?
Yeah, well, the law portion of it,
Yeah.
is, you know, I would wait either for Denise to come back
Mhm.
so she can provide her opinion. I talked to Mick, some of the technical stuff is being reviewed for this next legislative session, so some of it may not be upheld, and so, we just need to make, the main thing is from what my understanding and from what my conversation with Mick is for the audience, the live stream, and the council, for you to be able to hear and see both ways. Now,
Okay.
the detailed requirements of what y'all saw when I presented,
Mhm.
those are still in play as of right now, but that could have change at some point.
Okay. Is that what I heard you say, that this could change at the next legislature?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Oh, gosh.
So that, I mean,
Yeah.
but the main, that's, I mean, the main portion of it
Mhm.
is y'all need to be able to see, the audience needs to be able to see, the person that's on the stream or on the video conference
Mhm.
needs to be able to hear and
Mhm.
see, and the, you know, and so that's as far as like, I know y'all remember the technical requirements, like a bandwidth of X and X have to have, you know, minimum of this, and you have to have, you know, if we look at, you know, there was other requirements in there, other
Sure.
technical requirements in the
Okay.
law.
Well, that means it would just take a few more months to wait to see what the legislature did and not do something prematurely.
Well, like
Would
I
be
made
June.
a comment that night that when Dr. Edwards went down and we recessed for the council meeting, in the old law, you would have had to completely stop the meeting and could not reconvene the meeting. But that went out last legislative session, and you can reconvene as long as he's not the part of the quorum. Like making up the quorum, you can reconvene while you try to fix your technical issue. If he's part of the quorum, then you have to recess, and you have a time frame to be able to do that in, and that's in the law. So there was stuff that was taken out last legislative session. That other stuff could be taken out this legislative session. We just want, I mean.
Okay,
We're
very
here to
good.
support y'all.
Well, we appreciate that, Mr. Vasquez. Thank you so much. And Counselor Jordan, did you have something
Yes,
else to say?
this fine. I mean, they ask about the software portion of it, if I'm understanding correctly, but I also heard that in order for the system to work completely, it needs to be integrated with all the speakers and everything that was in the first proposal. So can we get approximately 3 different scenarios? This is what the software, this is how the best setup and the cost. This is what the software plus the upgraded speakers and everything that was in the first proposal back in March and so forth, so we can get a grasp on what we're supposed to be doing here, instead of, like I said, piecemeal doing software one day and then the next time we got to come back 6 months later.
It'll be a detailed, right. You don't want it piecemealed. You've already been there and done that from the last chamber. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, okay. Very good. All right, very good discussion, and we have some marching orders now, direction.
I think I
Do you
understand
think you
you.
understand? Well, I tell you what, let's do it this way.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
do it this
Is
way.
that the consensus of the entire council? Table and for further information until December,
thought
and
we had
that's the type of information that we're going to come back with,
I
right?
thought everybody kind of shook their head, but what I was going to say is if you, Mr. Vasquez and Crystal, in between now and then, have another question for clarification, can we put it on the agenda?
Or
and
I
just-
can ask you in the city manager's
Whatever, you know what
report.
I'm saying? So if you reach a impasse and you say, oh, let's go back, we can always do that, right? So just to make sure our lines of communication are open and, all right, excellent, thank you, all right.
Thank you so much for
With
being
that
here.
said, yes, with that said, then we will move then to agenda item number 8.4. The City Council shall meet in executive session to discuss the following. Pursuant to Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, the City of Leon Valley will consult and close session with its attorney to receive legal advice regarding a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter to include the following matters. A, Section 551.0101, consultation with attorney to receive legal advice with respect to pending litigation regarding cause number 2018 CV00594, Robert and Gail Tribble versus the Board of Adjustment of Leon Valley and the County Court of Law, number 10, Bexar County, Texas, City Manager Kelly Kinsler, and B, Section 551.101, consultation with attorney to receive legal advice with respect to pending litigation regarding civil action case number 5:18-CV-680, Russell Zinter et al. Versus the City of Leon Valley et al., filed in the Federal Court, Western District of Texas. City Manager Kelly Kinsler. So, we were, it is now 9:10, but we're going to take a 5-minute break before we begin, so we can all, Okay, thank you. So good night, y'all, and we'll see you, unless y'all want to stay. All right. So we're back from executive session at approximately 10 minutes after 10, and there is no action. May I have a motion to dismiss, or to adjourn? Dismiss. We were talking about dismiss, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Citizens be heard. There's no citizens to be heard. And if there's no objection, we move to adjourn. Let's just do it that way. Okay, thank y'all. Good evening.
Works for me.
Stay safe and stay dry.